Welcome everyone to the Poke Battle Network. I am Sosaflow and this is FSPN Worlds. We are seeing the final matchups here. The round 3, the third places between NEB and Chicago Stars. These are two amazing teams that have been around since the early beginnings of Sylph factions, and it is such an honor to have them here and have these amazing casters with me tonight as we are going to be watching these incredible teams battle it out. With me on the desk is going to be our good man all the way from Colorado, filling those mountains. It is going to be Shadow Prime. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm so good. I'm so excited for these battles. I'm ready to party. This is going to be great.
Awesome. It's so great to have you. We are so ready for the party. Right after Mr. Shadow Prime, we have the 6'4" ninja, tallest judge you've seen on stages numerous amounts of times. Welcome, sir. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great tonight, and I'm also looking forward to seeing just these two titans of NA duke it out here in this third place matchup, and just sending factions off with a bang.
A bang indeed, a big bang too. Like, there was the championship yesterday, but oh my gosh, this matchup here is the pinnacle point because you have two classics. And speaking of, you have Miss Hurricane Kaz coming back again to the Palatown to Poke Battle Network. How you doing, Miss Kaz?
Oh, I'm doing amazing. And just like the others have said, I am so excited to see these battles. I mean, anyone who's been a part of factions for any amount of time knows these two teams, and they are incredible, and these battles are going to be worth every second of watching.
Yes, you all said the same thing. Incredible battlers, incredible battles. That's because a lot of us have incredible understandings of factions, as all of us here on the table have been a part in numerous stages of the faction scene here. Starting us off with the early birds of the 6'4" ninja. You were in the, I think you were in a early stage in the early first themes of the first cycles, were you not?
Yeah. So in the very first pre-cycle, I was an alternate for a team because I was like, I don't know if I want to get, this seems like a big commitment, and it turned out to be a pretty big commitment, but I was an alternate that first cycle, pre-cycle, and going to the second one, I was like, all right, we're gonna make a team. Me, invite a bunch of my closest friends, throw together a team that I felt would be both fun and competitive. And I think that having reached up to the top division in NA and then kind of hanging out in those kind of top two divisions for most of 2 seasons, I think we accomplished both a lot of the fun and being pretty competitive. And looking forward, and these two teams are teams that are near and dear to like being in those top tiers of NA. We actually have played against both these teams before. Our all-time record is a 1-2 against the Chicago Stars and 1-1 against Northeast Battlers. So have seen these guys up close and personal, and they are forces to be reckoned with. And looking forward to seeing them go head-to-head tonight.
Well, I mean, battling so long on this faction that's been around for 3 years now, an amazing opportunity that Sylph found and provided for us. And as you said too, I was reluctant to join, and I came in a little bit after. I believe that Miss Hurricane Kaz, you and the Queen Bees came in around the same time I did as well.
Yeah, I joined the Queen Bees just a little bit late. I think in season 2, after they had done a few bouts already. And I started off as an alternate and then became, field specialist role. And then for the last 2 bouts was the captain after Final Boss AJ went up to join the backstage battlers. And it's been awesome. I absolutely loved being a part of factions from the second I joined. And I'm really, really proud of all the women on my team. Such strong, amazing battlers, and, my friends in this game, like, for life now.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I mean, the team camaraderie is why I joined the team, and you really felt that camaraderie and really felt the companionship. You said you started as an alternate and moved your way up in the rankings. I was like, I'm an alternate. I'm good. Just let me play every once in a while. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Oh, is it a same Sylph meta? Yeah, I'm good here. I'll take it. Sure, I can do the same Sylph meta.
You just need another season so to get in that alternate to captain pipeline that Kaz and I took.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Oh, I just missed it.
Just missed the cutoff.
But as we've been talking about all of these great times, we've seen so many new teams form and just they grow and grow and grow. Kaz, when we started, I think we only had Diamond, right? When we joined, Diamond was the tier. But lately, they jumped up and added a couple more and invited this entire. How many people? I don't know how many teams were in the Open Great League.
Oh my God!
You know who would though? You would, Mr. Shadow Prime, as you joined us late in the factions. And how many battlers and teams did you see in Open Great League?
There were so many. We like to call it the pits because we were down there. We had a good time, I can tell you that. But I think we finished second to last. But hey, we weren't there for a long time, just here for a good time, right? So.
I mean, it really was a good time, and the team camaraderie. Did you get a team camaraderie?
Absolutely, it was really great to see, like, especially players that like didn't really do a lot of battling, like kind of like get their feet under them and get those wins. Like it was really cool to just like celebrate with them. So it's like something that like that group like unification that you'll never get to lose, right? Yeah. So I absolutely love that aspect of it.
Yeah, it really did. Factions was a great tool that Sylph I'm so grateful for because it came right at the time where we didn't know where Sylph was going to go, and it had to compare and compete kind of with GBL. And they're like, well, instead of let's soloing it out, let's make, since everybody's teaming and everybody's got their Discords, let's get these teams going. And they incorporated the open leagues and brought in their spice and their flavor of, Atlantis mode, whatchamacallit, what was the other first one? It was Atlantis and Comet. Was it Comet? No, Comet was second season.
Oh, the floating city.
Floating city, right? It was
a
wonderful opportunity there that they gave. They started off with the All-Stars back in Sylph Season 3, and they got a great camaraderie there. And the communities that were built, I was on 2 teams. Being no hate, nobody's mad about anything, just teams dispersed. And the way we all talked and the way we helped each other out to like build around it and work around some of maybe the faults that I had as a battler, but some things that maybe other battlers didn't see yet or didn't understand to do, saving energy, throwing, or just how to play around a meta. It's just a wonderful team camaraderie. And these 2 teams here, NEB and Chicago Stars, have been doing such a great job with that. Their team both teams have done nothing but grow and bring a great camaraderie to not just their team, but to their communities as well, as they've been pouring it out to the NEB Discord and to the Chicago Stars, as Chicago Stars is there for the city of Chicago. So it's just been wonderful this entire year to watch these 2 teams get to this point, to fight it out with the rest of the world. They weren't just fighting it out with the NA here. They fought the rest of the world and got to this point. And so it's just absolutely amazing to have these teams here through all of it. 6-4, you said you ran into them. RTC, Shadow, did you run into any of like NEB 3 or Chicago Stars 2, like the sub teams in the Open League?
No.
Kaz, were any of those in your division?
No,
as well?
I don't think we ever faced any of them or their like subdivisions. I am familiar with one of the battlers, Bosox guy from NEB was actually, I think, my first round opponent in Continentals last year.
Wow.
So that was how I got introduced to him and like how talented like the members of all of their team were. Like I just started looking at the names and I was like, oh good Lord.
Wait, he's on their team? He's on their team?
Yeah. So yeah, it's been really incredible to like look at, how factions have formed and how they've managed to work together despite, maybe some team changes here and there, despite being, relegations or promotions. That was always my favorite part of factions was that teamwork.
Yeah. It has been great. You guys have anybody else have anything to add to that?
And one of the things that I just to kind of piggyback on what Kaz was saying, I absolutely loved the like this was my squad. Like when I'm battling, this is my opponent. Hey, scrim me real quick just to figure out like what do you think is the best lead, like, and just kind of like building off like our mistakes that like I made this week, like how can I build and improve on it next week. It was really cool just to have that like group that was just, this is my group, this is what we got, let's go into battle and let's just do what we can. So, and I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah,
the
me
version.
too.
Yeah, so
Yeah, well, never fear. There will be teams coming out as Sylph has disbanded. Now it's official over. Promise myself, cry would not.
Take a snapshot of your Sylph trainer card.
I know. I did that. No joke. I did that for like an obscenely long time yesterday, just scrolling through and taking screenshots of absolutely everything on my card.
Yeah, no, never fear, though. There will be Zygarden coming out. There are more team stuff happening. Indigo PvP is to help teams stay together if they want to battle it out until Zygarden comes. It is coming, so don't fret, folks. There is more team preparation out there. There will be that team camaraderie, so it's not dead yet. We haven't lost it. The community will not let it go. Because all of us we just love it so much. Like, there's no point to lose what Sylph has helped us start with again. Like, there was so many things that Sylph started with, and this is not a Sylph solo, this is a Sylph teams thing, but this was one of those great resource tools, and having that team aspect is going to go through for the rest of Pokemon Go. So thank you, Sylph, for bringing it in, as we are about to get into round of the, what is this, third place Worlds? This is FSPN Worlds. Third place or not, both of these teams are championship team caliber all together, losing by maybe a point or two. We are so excited to have them. We're going to get down to the analyst desk now, as we're going to break down the Great League, which was given an interesting meta. So we're going to have Shadow Prime and the 6-4 give us their analysis and breakdown on that. And then they'll kick us over to Kaz and myself, as we're going to be casting the first battles. So let's get down to the analyst desk and enjoy the FSPN.
All right, let's do it, Shadow Prime.
absolutely. So first off, just kind of wanted to name the teams that we've got. So we got Quasar Sucks running a Frostlass, a Skarmory, a Politoed, which recently had a community day, a Dragalge, an Obstagoon, a Shadow Dragonair, Empoleon, and a Toxapex.
Yeah, seeing a little bit of overlap there with his opponent's team. His opponent from Chicago Stars is Bulk 88. He's running the Tapu Fini, Ferrothorn, Empoleon, Kanto Ninetales, Toxicroak, Galvantula, Shadow Dragonair, and Toxapex. So both of them having that Empoleon, Shadow Dragonair, and Toxapex, and then kind of mixing up some of these other Pokemon. But just a lot of kind of staple picks here on both these teams, things you're not very surprised to see when you go to battle somebody in, I think this is the Open Great League.
Yes. And like you were saying, like a lot of that overlap, one of the things that we kind of talked about before is that Shadow Dragonair with the Shadow Dragon Breath, just super oppressive, just can kind of pump out a bunch of damage real quick. I'm really excited to see how that's going to hold up. One of the Pokemon that's really been kind of, especially with Fossil Cup and GBL, that Ferrothorn or Ferrothorn, however they be saying it.
I didn't really say Ferrothorn, but I think on the one of the regionals broadcasts, I didn't think we got a Ferrothorn, so I could be wrong on that one. But it's that grass steel type Pokemon. And what were you thinking about that one?
It's just how bulky it is. I'm really excited to see how it's going to match up against like the Empoleon, how it's going to match up against the Toxapex if they get matched up on each other. I really think that's a solid Pokemon, especially because of Fossil Cup. I've been doing a lot of that in GBL.
Yeah, an important consideration here on thinking, like, when you're building these teams for factions, and especially in these show 8, ban 2, choose 3 formats, be Pokemon that have flexible move sets to try to keep your opponent off balance. And Ferrothorn is one of those Pokemon that is it going to have that secondary? You almost always have Power Whip and Bullet Seed, but then are you going to run that Thunder or one of the Steel moves, either Mirror Shot to have a cheaper bait move and the debuff chance, or a Flash Cannon? And it's pretty interesting here consideration for those, given that there's a Frostlass over there where the Steel's super effective. But then there's also, the flying type, there's Skarmory over there where Thunder would be better, and also against Empoleon and Toxapex, that secondary typings resist the grass, making it neutral. Having that electric coverage might help in those matchups. So pretty interesting to see here what Bulk does with that Ferrothorn in these games, because it looks like it's pretty well matched up with a lot of this team. But it may depend on what secondary move he chose to run with it.
Absolutely. And another Pokemon I'm excited is hopefully we get to see it get some play is that Politoed, with how quick it gets to its moves with that mud shot, just throwing out the weather balls. I'm really excited to see how much damage that Politoed can put out against this team.
Yeah, and you mentioned this was before the community. I think these just recently had a community day for that where it could get Ice Beam, but these matches were played the week before that. Yeah, so we'll either probably have Earthquake or Blizzard as the secondary move on that. Probably Earthquake, because there's no flying Pokemon on Bulk's team.
This is true. Yeah, so I think that the Earthquake would probably be the better move on this, just to kind of have that coverage to hit that Kanto Ninetales pretty hard and honestly do a good bit of damage to everything else. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see what these Pokemon are gonna show us today.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to watch here is from Quasisucks, that Obstagoon. There's no fairy on Bulk's. Well, the fairy was banned from Bulk's team, and also his counter user has been banned, kind of paving the way for that Goon to have all positive or neutral matchups. The Galvantula and the Toxapex still resist counter, but they take neutral damage from Night Slash, so it could be a pretty safe pick there, especially given what he went for with the bans.
Exactly. And that Tapu Fini too, like I'm not counting that thing out because we've seen it show up in plenty of the Play Pokemon events. Tapu Fini is going to be great. Also, I'm intrigued to see how Toxapex is going to Toxicroak, not Pex. Toxicroak is going to hold out because it's also got that counter. So
just a clarification, I think Production's got those little X's up there. Those are the banned Pokemon, are the ones with the black
sorry,
X's on.
I'm looking at the wrong thing. My apologies. My apologies.
Yeah, so the Tapu Fini and the Toxicroak both got banned out. They did look very strong into Quase's team, but Quase was like, well, I don't want to deal with it then, and banned those ones out.
Let's just get rid of it. Very nice. That just changes the game, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. So I'm excited to see like what Pokemon are going to show up, and to see how these two, like you said earlier, titans of battling are going to face off, and who's going to emerge victorious.
Yeah. If we're ready to get into it, I think we got some casters lined up to bring us that action right now.
Hello, everybody. I don't know why you are there, sir. There we go. Why, hello. Welcome, everybody. Yes, those were some great analysis that we just got here. The X's do mark the bans. That Toxicroak and that Tapu were definitely looking good. Right, Ms. Kaz? Someone's muted. Ms. Kaz, you're muted. Oh, no, but we're getting right into it. Toxapex into the Mandibuzz here. And
sorry about that, y'all. I forgot I was muted for a second, but we do have, as Soso pointed out, Toxapex versus Mandibuzz, a battle between two tanks right here.
Like, thank God it's not Umbreon on Umbreon. It's like Umbreon of the Sky versus the newest Bastiodon, which is really important to pay attention because I've seen an uptick in Toxapex in a while, and it gets to the Sludge Bomb.
It gets to the Sludge Bomb pretty quickly with those poison jabs. And Sludge Wave does do a lot of damage against the tanky Mandibuzz. Toxapex, I mean, being a tank itself, it's a lot tankier than Nidoqueen, which was probably the previous preferred like poison jab user, and has a lot better neutral play with its access to Brine.
Yeah, Brine, water type has been so well, and if you can get something defensive that can do just a little bit of water damage against those steals and tanks, look at what it's doing to this other tank. Like, yes, we're just two tanky Pokemon going at it, but it's definitely putting that pressure down. Those poison jabs are actually getting that Mandibuzz, could get it out if the shield comes through. So what's important to Quasar right now, Switch or his Pokemon? And it looks like the Pokemon.
Exactly. Yeah, Mandibuzz is able to get to its moves just a little bit faster, which leads to it being able to knock out that Toxapex, which is a nice little bit of advantage for Bulk there.
Yeah, the problem though with this Dragon Knight or Dragonair is that Frostlass is not your
Yeah.
friend. Frostlass
No.
is nobody's friend. But Frostlass dips and in comes Obstagoon now to take the damage from the Dragonair Shadow version here.
Yeah, Obstagoon can be a little, like, surprisingly tanky if it's not against a fighter or a fairy. So it can actually handle the damage from this Dragonair just a little bit better than even the Frostlass can. And getting the attack boost on that Obstagoon certainly helps out in this endgame.
But the thing is, now you got a shield, right? That attack boost will
Mhm.
definitely force the shield, and that's not what Quasar wanted because Quasar's
No.
got the bug typing on the dark. And look at what
Yeah.
Volt Switch is doing.
Oh my
Forcing that
God.
last shield now. There's tons of energy, but Frostlass and 2 shields with energy basically beats any
Exactly.
meta. So this is an uphill battle for Balk.
Yeah, Quasar really has a strong advantage knowing that Frostlass with those shields can dominate the backline matchup in most scenarios. And especially here, being able to, absolutely, like, load up on energy. Even holding on to that energy as Balk tries to swap in the Mandibuzz and catch an avalanche.
Quasar Sucks, an original SoCal Swablu, has been battling against Balk for numerous amounts of times. They've seen each other a ton, and the saving the throw, Balk trying so hard, didn't help as Quasar's like, I've seen this before. I know what this play is.
Yeah.
Going for that Shadow Ball. Well done by both battlers. Frostlass showing how dominant she's been. Obstagoon, again, the analysts were talking about how strong that Obstagoon is without the counter user or fairy user to put it in check. They have to bring out this Galvantula, and it forces Balk to bring it out again.
But Galvantula doesn't love this matchup against Frostlass. I mean, it can throw the lunge, but even that is resisted by Frostlass's ghost type. So the discharge also is going to do, like, pretty good neutral damage, but Frostlass can actually take that and overload on energy before throwing this first avalanche.
Yeah, those Volt Switches take forever to load up on, while Frostlass has 4 or 5 Powder Snows going in. You're only getting 2 Volt Switches in there.
Yeah.
The problem is the Frostlass goes down before the energy is thrown.
But even though the Frostlass goes down, we still see Quasar Sucks holding on to both of those shields so that this Toxapex, while it does not like the electric damage that it's receiving here, can actually put on a lot of pressure before feeling really forced to shield.
I like this thought process because we saw the Mandibuzz in game 1. We don't know what Quasar thinks is in the back yet. We haven't seen anything but this Galvantula terrorize Quasar and getting that last discharge
A last
before
minute
it goes
shield,
out.
literal last minute shield. And then Empoleon comes out very briefly before the Dragonair comes in to meet this Obstagoon.
Returning the favor, Balk is. He says, you do it to me with Frost, I'll come out with Empoleon, get a couple of energy, and bring out my Dragonair. And that is it. We see Dragon Breath now, once they gave Dragonair this body slam, it really helped unlock it against having more neutral matchups with a lot more Pokemon. And that is just wonderful for it.
Yeah, but that quick show of the Empoleon shows Quasar how important this Obstagoon is for the end game. So throwing up that last shield to protect absolutely all of the energy they possibly can onto this Obstagoon so it can pressure this Empoleon to use their last shield as well.
And counting on the turn moves, gets 1 extra tap in, throws the charge move, and I think the switch timer is about to come out.
Oh my
Does
God.
it come? Makes the switch and makes the catch!
Oh,
Sucks!
Catches the drill peck on this Toxapex, which can absolutely take that move. Going to be able to throw a brine here. Is this going to be enough to get Empoleon out of the game? It does resist this damage. Just barely enough. Oh my gosh. Toxapex coming in clutch in that end game.
That was such a great catch there to get the Toxapex on it. And it's so tanky, it'll just take whatever it wants.
Exactly.
not for nothing.
Exactly.
That Galvantula looked like it was going to be the worst thing ever for both back Pokemon, and Quasar pulled it out. Bach 88 is how to figure out a game plan and brings out this Ferrothorn so that it has
Proper
to see...
pronunciation.
So it has to see this Frostlass. Ferrothorn not rocking the Mirror Shot or Flash Cannon, going with the more chosen, more likely Power Whip and Thunder.
And both of those are neutral into Frostlass. So as we saw in our last match, Frostlass could actually take one of these moves and get a little bit of extra farm here. But no, Quasar chooses to spend the first shield to protect a lot of energy on the Lass.
And again, Frostlass is up against a 3-4 turn move, which takes forever, and he is just building that energy now. Worried about the Thunder, will take the second Power Whip. The Ferrothorn is bone dry now, and is 2 shield.
Oh my gosh. So Quasar gave up the early shield there to get as much energy onto this Frostlass. And we do see now one Volt Switch coming through when the Galvantula from Bulk comes in, but now is going to have to shield this first Avalanche.
Does that Volt Switch take enough? No!
Oh my
1 HP!
Oh! Frostlass, 1 HP and a dream, able to throw a second Avalanche, getting both shields immediately from Bulk. Oh my goodness, what a play.
Huge again. Now Bulk bringing back Galvantula. Dangerous to that dark typing, dangerous to this water typing, but there is still a shield on Quasar after all of that buildup and that farm down from Frostlass. Safe to say that Quasar knows how to play his lady. And return of the catch favor.
Yes, another great swap, this time from Bulk. Mandibuzz taking this brine completely in stride, not really fearing the move, even though all shields are down for Bulk over on his side.
It's incredible that the play is to make the swap catch on a tank, and it's still alive. The thing is, the Toxapex is still alive now.
Oh my
gosh. That is incredible. Mandibuzz being that dark typing does not want to see that cross chop from this Obstagoon. But the Aerial Ace is not going to do anything because Obstagoon is not a fighter type. It has fighter moves. We treat it like a fighter, but it ain't no fighter.
This matchup can be pretty painful because they're both doing like very solid, like neutral damage like to each other. And it's just like barely not enough to get this matchup where it needs to go. But the Obstagoon does have the benefit of coming in with a lot more health, but Galvantula now swaps in from Bulk and has a move ready, and now Quasar has to use their last shield to protect against that super effective lunge.
Got a counter in and a Volt Switch in before this Night Slash came off, as it's gonna pop off. And will it proc? No proc. Those Volt Switches are doing the damage and gets to the second Night Slash before the next charge move. With no shields, this should take it out. If this procs, those counters will do just a little bit of damage to the Mandibuzz, but it won't.
Unfortunately, we do not see the boost, so we're back into this matchup. And we do see another swap from Quasar to catch the Aerial Ace onto this Toxapex. Oh my goodness, swap for swap. These two talented trainers are trading back and forth.
It is absolutely incredible to watch this matchup as these battlers are trying. Quasar even had the Surf or this brine ready to go. The cross chop doesn't do enough, but finally one counter goes through.
Yeah, we had to have just one more counter to get that last point from Quasar for the Northeast battlers. Oh my goodness.
Now there are 2 more battles because this is the World Finals, the 3rd place. So they had each lineup, each meta has 5 matches, so each battler has an opportunity to get points back. Bulk is not out of this. He can keep his team in this, but right now this is all Quasar in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, the tank of Toxapex like can handle all these moves from Empoleon, but also can't really do much super effective damage on the back end. So this feels very similar to that Mandibuzz Obstagoon matchup that we just came out of. They're just gonna trade some light taps here and there.
It's very neutral when it comes to tanks, and you kind of like, can you just maybe like a quarter of the damage? Like, try not to look like your aerial ace. Something. But another
Empoleon,
throwback.
yeah, Empoleon does have the higher attack stat. So, I mean, the Drill Pecks are doing slightly more damage than the Brines are doing back. But, I mean, we've seen Toxapex take moves like nobody's business. But we do see Balk decide to swap out to the Galvantula and start trying to get a little bit of an energy advantage. But Quasza is just as fast and swaps that Frostlass in.
I think he thinks it's a lunge and the discharge comes through. Even though he could still take the discharge, coming in with all that extra energy, Balk throwing the discharge on what could have been a lunge, great opportunity, great call by Balk right there to get back in the driver's seat with the extra energy on the Galvantula and farm down the Frostlass. He's like, farm me down, will you? Let me tell you how this lady's gonna go.
Yeah, let me just get this Frostlass out of the way. But Quasza does have the shield advantage once again, and now forced between a rock and a hard place, sends out Obstagoon to take this first lunge, will throw up his first shield.
Galvantula, baby, just putting in the work. I'm still confused as why we haven't seen the Skarmory yet. Like, Galvantula was so good, but there was a Skarmory on Quasza's team. So if
the Skarmory,
yeah,
the Skarmory still is doing like neutral damage against the Galvantula, and the Galvantula is able to do super effective damage right back with those Volt Switches. So it's actually not as good of a play, I don't think. I like the choice of Toxapex because the Poison Jab damage actually stacks up quite nicely against that Galvantula.
That's really nice to think about too. Thank you. I was just like, why?
It seems pretty. I know it seems pretty obvious.
And especially when you got to deal with this bird the whole time.
Oh my gosh. It would be nice to have the Skarmory to take a little more like neutral damage from the aerial aces from this Mandibuzz here.
Yeah.
But we do have the Obstagoon ready from Quasza to deal some damage right back.
Yeah, the aerial ace is going to put the work down. There's still a shield, but Quasza might be, I just have to call this because we watched this before. There's no real timer. There's still a second Pokemon left on Box Team. There's so much that can happen. And look, Cross Chop does nothing. I think both battlers understand the matchup. Both battlers understand what's happening. If you're not going to be trying to boost these Cross Chops, then you practically just called it. So this was a great play by both the battlers. Getting in the second shield.
Obstagoon's not giving up. Not yet.
Quasza sees something that I don't.
I still got hands.
Quasza's got fast hands. Oh, and he gets the CMP. I can't believe it. Is it 1 HP to Dream though?
Oh my gosh, Mandibuzz is so tanky. It can absolutely take this move, and it does have the energy ready for yet another aerial ace to throw onto this Obstagoon, knocking it finally out of this match.
Yeah. Balk 88. Here I was counting out Quasza. He's like, man, I'm still in it. I apologize.
Listen, you've insulted Obstagoon's family, his house, like they are ready to come at you.
He's gonna be rocking and rolling all night.
Dishonor on your cow.
He's gonna be partying every day here.
This is the matchup that Obstagoon is here for. Here for the Empoleon. And so we see the swap out to the Mandibuzz. Frostlass comes in. This is also a surprisingly neutral matchup. Mandibuzz gets to the foul play fairly quickly since Frostlass swapped in just one Snarl late and will have to take that damage before it can get to the first Avalanche. And will this force a shield? Mandibuzz is so tanky. Like, I think it can just barely survive.
Plus, like, I need the shield for all of that Galvantula. If this is the same team for 4 times in a row, Galvantula gets everything.
If Galvantula in the back equals success with shields.
He's probably sitting there like, I thought I just got to deal with this Frostlass with all this energy. But that's why you have Empoleon.
Yeah, Quasar put up a shield to protect that energy, and now does have the Shadow Ball ready to throw on this Empoleon, which will do quite a bit of damage if Balk chooses not to shield, which he does not. Oh, goodness.
That is detrimental because there's 2 shields on this Galvantula, but that Empoleon is really, really hurting right now. And Frostlass is not, or Toxapex is full health, ready to go, and here it comes.
Exactly. I mean, Obstagoon cannot. I mean, you saw Quasar throw the energy there just to maybe try for the proc. Didn't get it, and does get the shield from the Galvantula, but now has to send in Toxapex with all of its many health reserves to take these Volt Switches.
Oh my goodness, Volt Switch acting like it's hitting Frostlass over here. No shields the lunge. Great call by Quasar. Will he go for the sludge? No, he's going right for the brine, though, and grabs the shield from his opponent.
Yeah. Honestly, that's a really good play from Balk, is to throw the lunge instead of the discharge so that they could have just an opportunity for that much more farm.
It was, absolutely. And unfortunate, though, not the shield, but the shield here. This will debuff this Obstagoon, and back out comes the Empoleon, and Empoleon just has to still see this Obstagoon.
Yeah. Empoleon did not have the energy for a move, so Obstagoon has to throw here in order to get this Empoleon off the field, and it has just a little bit of extra energy, which it can now throw against the Galvantula, and Galvantula being the glassy mon that it is, even though this is debuffed, I don't think it will be able to take this Night Slash.
No, won't be able to, and that for NEB is 4 points to 1 for Chicago Stars, but a great concept. The band there really kept Balk in a position where he had to be forced to just bring in the Galvantula, and it literally was the same line from Quasar Sucks. So we'll have to see how the analysts talk about it down there in this next matchup. So analysts, what'd you see?
What a wild set of battles. Great job to both of our battlers, but it was absolutely incredible. One of the things I really wanted to mention was like how commanding Frostlass and Obstagoon were. There were a couple of times where I was like, there's no way you're going to survive this, and it hung on with 1 HP in a dream. So like with Frostlass and then Obstagoon also coming in like, hey, I didn't hear no bell. So and like it was just really kind of cool to see that. So what were you seeing in there, 64?
I was just, the Toxapex was just, it brought so much bulk for Quasar that it was just hard for Balk to get through it. I mean, in that last match, he's like, well, you have to shield it this time, and goes for that lunge bait, and the no shield call there into then the brine to get the last shield sets up the Obstagoon to close out the game. And it just felt like the Toxapex did that through most of the matches. It just absorbed the damage. It did enough chip damage back to the Galv. The 2-shield Galv was a good play, but Galv just doesn't have the health to really kill 2 things. Both the Goon and the Toxapex both just bulky enough to tank 1 move, get to that second move, and make the Galv's life really, really uncomfortable, even though those are positive matchups for it. It just can't really delete either of them in a way that would set it up to win a game.
Absolutely, and a lot of times I like to tell people that are learning to get into PvP, trust your Pokemon and know what they can take, know what they can't take, and definitely Quasar Sucks definitely did a great job of demonstrating that today. The things that I personally would have shielded, no way he could have survived that. Like he knew his shield, did the energy management. It was absolutely top tier battling and on both ends today. So great job to both Quasar Sucks and Balk 88 for absolutely fantastic battling. So
and Quasar just coming away with that 4-1, setting up his team in just a good position going into the rest of the matchups. That's a pretty hefty lead, but there's still a lot of games to play, and I think we're going to jump over. We have a special message that we'd like to share with you all.
Yes. So this is from the Chicago Stars. As you guys know, this is the sunset for Sylph. So we have our we asked them to put together a little something for the to share, and we were going to read that here in a second. Okay. Yeah. So it says we're gonna blow that up just a little bit. Okay. All right. It says our name represents our origins and what we want to be. All of our players are from Chicago, the Chicago area, and our goal is to be Chicago's premier PvP team. We wanted a name and a mascot that referenced our roots, and we think Jirachi is a great match for the stars on the Chicago flag. We started playing together during the early days of Team PvP for Go Team Up, and we grew to take on the challenge of playing Sylph factions. We'd like to thank the Sylph organizers and staff for all of their hard work over the last 4 years building the definitive formats for our team and individual PvP. Playing Sylph tournaments is what brought us together, and we hope whatever comes next is just as much fun. So that's oh man, I'm feeling feelings that I wasn't expecting to feel.
Yeah, I mean, factions has been amazing, and I think it came at just the right time as we were in COVID, and Sylph in-person tournaments had gone away, and we were kind of struggling to keep that community feeling that going to local tournaments had. And Sylph just hit a home run in building a team format so that we all felt a part of those communities. We still had that group of people that we hung out and battled with and learned alongside. I just want a special shout out to the teams that did build a team that was locally based, like the Chicago Stars, and I believe to some extent the Northeast Battlers as well. A lot of them were people from that Northeast region of the United States, people that had seen each other at local Sylph tournaments before and played against each other, and then building these teams. I know a lot of other teams kind of found their community through online, through Discords, through other international even settings, and so put together teams that way. But just special shout out to these teams for building a local community into a faction and building that faction into a world-class team.
Absolutely. And you couldn't have said it better myself.
All right. It looks like we're heading over to Ultra League now. We've got the teams here for Kaiser, Tenor, and Beach. You want to take us off with Kaiser's team?
Absolutely. So for Kaiser's team, we have Steelix, we have Como. Whew, that's a tough one. And then we got Surfetched. Yeah, Surfetched. We got the Punch Bug himself, Excavalier, a Shadow Dragonite, and Napoleon, a return player. We have a bands on Mandibuzz and Mew.
And down over on Beach's side, he's got that Alolan Muck, the Empoleon, the Drift Blim, the Venusaur, the Escavalier also, and a Politoed. And the bands that Kaiser Thunder put against Beach were his Togekiss and his Shadow Nidoqueen, reducing a little bit of that fast move pressure. And also shout out to Beach for banning Kaiser's Mew. Probably saved him 50 TMs this week.
Absolutely. You're going to have to either go into an elite TM or just pray for the best when you're going through all your stacks of TMs.
Looking at these teams, I mean, both teams, we have some they both have an Escavalier as a fighter. Both of them have some kind of flying type. We have the Shadow Dragonite versus the Drifblim. Politoed here as kind of an anti-flyer. Probably again, it's a little tougher on this matchup. In the Great League, it was very clear that it would probably run into that Earthquake, even though it didn't end up coming into the games. In this one, Earthquakes helps you with the Empoleon and the Steelix, but if you don't have that Blizzard, you have no play against Dragonite. So that's pretty rough situation for Beach trying to bring the Politoed.
Absolutely, and as I've mentioned before, I'm a big fan of that Shadow Dragon Breath damage. Like I absolutely love using those Shadow Dragon types. I'm really excited to see if Como makes an appearance on the field today, because with that Dragon Tail, that close combat, can really hit that Empoleon if need be, and it also can do that. Close combat can do a decent amount of damage against these other Pokemon as well. The Pokemon that'll kind of fight back, or will be that Drift Blim, that Venusaur, which is also pretty bulky. So I'm excited to see how these Pokemon match up.
Yeah, we see a couple steel types there on the team, but their secondary typings help them resist a little bit. But close combat does just a lot of damage, and so that Como does look like it's a pretty safe pickup here. Would not be surprised to see Kaiser bring that one quite a bit.
Absolutely, and come on, Polytoad, I believe in you. Let's do it. I really want to see Polytoad on the field. So hopefully we can get to see that today. And then also another Pokemon I also really enjoy using. It's a little bit glassy, but that Sire Fetch with that counter damage as well, and that the Night Slash and the Leaf Blade.
Surfetch it's another Pokemon we talked about in the previous matchup that has that move set flexibility that really helps in that format.
Exactly.
Can be running Leaf Blade, can be running Night Slash, can be running Close Combat, can be running Brave Bird. Just a lot of kind of scary things it can be throwing out there. And this matchup, there doesn't look like there's anything on Beach. Oh, I guess the Alolan Muck is the only thing that resists Night Slash. That feels like a pretty safe bait move. Also gives you that boost chance, but then would not be surprised to see something like a Brave Bird to try to blow out some matchup. Surfetch can really, really threaten those shields.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you bring that Shadow Dragonite and that Surfetch, you probably want something bulky like maybe the Steelix back there, because your Pokemon not a lot of HP and you only get those 2 shields.
Oh yeah, like glass cannon right there. So I'm definitely excited to see how these Pokemon match up. Like I said before, come on, Polytoad. I want to see you on the field.
Yeah, it definitely has some good matchups here. Might have some more play here than Great League, but I think we have those battles ready, and also our casters to take it away.
Oh, and here we go.
We're going to get right into it. The Sire is with a Y, just so that we're all aware. Sire is with a Y and has an E at the end.
What?
But
what are you talking about? Anyway.
We
see...
Go on.
Yeah. We see Muck sporting the Poison Jab fast move, which is doing quite a bit of damage against this Surfetch, and will throw the Acid Spray so that it's doing even more. But the Surfetch has quite a surprise in store.
I don't know if you've ever played with Surfetch in Ultra League, but when no one believes in it,
oh my God,
you land those Brave Birds and just nuke everything out of the sky. It's so beautiful.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, incredible play. Throwing that Brave Bird, knowing that almost no one in their right mind suspects it. But in Ultra League, it's actually amazing. And we see a quick swap from both Quasar and... No, wait. Those are not the right...
New names. I'll get those names up there properly.
We see a quick swap into Dragonite and Drifblim. Dragonite has to shield these the Shadow Dragonite especially has to shield the Icy Winds from this Drifblim. Does put up both shields. Kaiser Tenor puts up both shields to protect the Dragonite and this energy, because it is doing an absolutely insane amount of damage.
Absolutely. That Shadow Dragonite, Dragon Breath Shadow version is so good. Oh, no, Beach is just not calling it.
Oh
Beach
my
is
gosh.
just not calling it right now.
I mean, the superpower is neutral damage actually onto the Escavalier, but now this aerial ace of all moves is going to put this Dragonite down for the count. And now we have an interesting choice ahead of Kaiser Tenor here.
I like the call with the Brave, bringing back the Surfetch, because he has that counter against that Steel. You want to put that extra typing down. That way you're just not letting your Steelix just get whooped. Yeah. And you're also bringing in, he gets a Thunderfang! It's Thunderfang, which is huge, Steelix. Right? Two modern Pokemon and this Flying Ghost. You have access to Crunch and to Psychic Fang. So absolutely, the Thunderfang is huge here. But Mystic Fire was given to the Drifblim.
Yes, Mystical Fire was given to Drifblim, which is an incredible move to have against the Steelix, because not only is the Fire really great neutral attack pressure, but it actually debuffs the Steelix as well. But it doesn't really matter, because that Thunderfang is absolutely chunking.
You can't even see what you're hitting or what's getting hit with Thunderfang. It just flashes everywhere. There should be a seizure warning on it. A great move there by bringing the Thunderfang onto the Steelix. But that's what you love about factions. You can change it up until that first matchup, but now we know what Thunderfang is. Now we're going to see how these battles played out. And as you see, Beach adjusts and gets the call here on Escavalier onto that Steelix and Dragonite now gets to deal with this Drifblim. Drifblim rocking both the Icy Wind and Mystical Fire that come at the same amount of time. So we could play mind games with anybody now.
And both are debuffing moves, which is really great pressure to have against this Shadow Dragonite, since its main usage focuses around its high damage point. And it does have to give up, again, all of the shields. I feel like it's going to give up all of the shields to protect the insane amount of damage that it is capable of.
Yeah, and the Dragonite having to give up the shields might mean that Kaiser's got to figure out a game plan of how he's going to sacrifice it. Because remember, that's an Escavalier with energy in the back. He cannot give this up, or Steelix is just not going to have a fun time. And it looks like that's where we're going with this.
Yeah, we do see Kaiser Tenor give up the last shield to protect an absolutely insane amount of energy on that Dragonite, and then a quick swap into their own Escavalier. So we have an Escavalier face-off, but Beach does still have a shield in play. Kaiser Tenor does not.
Right, and now the energy, this is really great by Kaiser. All that energy is now off Beach's Escavalier, which you're worried. And if you notice, Kaiser's got Acid Spray instead of Mega Horn or Aerial Ace. So we'll see how that plays out with this Escavalier. Maybe he's still running his Escavalier from Fossil Cup.
Yeah, and we do see Beach try to get the opposing Escavalier out of the way by throwing the Drill Run and trying for that quick swap into their Venusaur. This Venusaur, I don't think, is going to have a great time.
No, Venusaur is not going to like anything. Because the Dragonite left with a little bit of energy, but it still has to worry about that Dragon Breath. So shield or no shield, like if, I don't know what the second move is. If Crunch procs for the debuff right now, you're in trouble. If that's Psychic Fang on, okay, it's Earthquake. But if
it is the Earthquake.
Woo, thank God. Because an Earthquake can KO as well, but a Psychic Fang against that poison typing and debuffing it as well won't love those Dragon Breaths. But the Crunch doesn't go off. There's no debuff, and here comes Venusaur.
And we do see the Beach's Venusaur absolutely overcharging on energy because it knows that that Dragonite is lurking in the back with a ton of energy. So even if this Steelix does not have its latest update of Psychic Fangs, like it can still put on a lot of good pressure, but absolutely needs to make room for that Dragonite in the end. And now we do see the Dragonite from Kaiser Tenor coming out to immediately throw the Dragon Claw and getting the last shield from Beach.
Walk away with the shield, not on my time. I'm Dragon Breathing you down, but the energy's there. The Sludge Bomb goes through, and the Dragonite will go back to the Pokeball.
Oof, and the Steelix did not have any energy for a second move. So Beach making quite a few great adjustments there and securing another point for the Chicago Stars.
Yes, I will take that back. Fossil Cup does not allow 2,500. This is the Ultra League. Thank you, Frostfire, for reminding me that this is Ultra League. I just automatically assume everything is Great League. But for getting Dragonite into Drifblim, and again, this is Beach making the call and getting it here. But will the swap happen? Because look at that, there's a Como-O now. And
I mean, neither one of the backline Pokemon from Kaiser Tenor wants to see this Drifblim at all. So all of their moves are going to be heavily resisted. So I do think that the shields on the Dragonite is going to be the play again. Absolutely, we see an insane amount of energy once again. Kaiser Tenor charges up on this Dragonite.
And this is a great adjustment by Kaiser. He sees it. Now, he understands that if he could just keep pressuring with the damage, with the Dragon Breathing, the shield, and we've seen it before, his opponent doesn't know how strong Drifblim is. This could actually be a great play to, instead of making a quick swap or anything like that, staying with it.
Oh, he's going to let it go this time. Going to choose to save a shield for his back Pokemon, knowing that he can get a little bit of extra energy on this Como-O, which is sporting its Dragon Tail fast attack as opposed to counter.
Brilliant play by letting it go, understanding he can get 3 taps in, and Drifblim needs about 4 to get to the next Icy Wind. Como now releases the close combat and makes the swap.
Goodness.
Amazing.
That is a good amount of energy off of this Escavalier, but now Beach's Escavalier does have the energy to throw this first drill run and does get the last shield from Kaiser Tenor.
It has been incredible to watch this matchup. Now, the acid spray has not been revealed yet, and we're going straight for the drill run. Will he get the final shield? No.
No. I mean, the drill run is good neutral damage against Venusaur, but Beach knows that Venusaur can absolutely take one non-stab attack from this Escavalier. And now we do see the acid spray being thrown onto the Venusaur, trying to get the last shield because it could have been another drill run, but does not. Beach absolutely calling it.
Almost two sludge bombs ready to go on Venusaur. As the first one goes off, I'm very confused why we're just does sludge bomb actually hit harder than Frenzy Plant in this matchup?
I mean, no.
Right? Like, I know Frenzy Plant, you're like, why am I throwing grass into this?
Yeah, Frenzy Plant is double resisted, whereas I think Sludge Bomb is only single resisted. So yeah, it's kind of a tough call there from Peach to bringing in that Venusaur, which just did not have any room to maneuver in that last matchup.
Hoping for a better matchup, hoping for some more damage, extra damage.
I mean, maybe he thought the Farfetch'd was going to come back, or I'm sorry, not Farfetch'd, the Surfetch'd, the Knighted Fetched.
The Saya Fetched, the Saya Fetched.
Maybe he thought that was going to come back and he would need that Sludge Bomb damage, or, I mean, the Frenzy Plant damage too, as well, because Surfetch'd is not a very bulky Pokemon.
Yes.
So yeah, Venusaur just didn't have much maneuverability there, but we do see an interesting matchup now. The Shadow Dragonite comes back out from Kaiser Tenor. It's been his star player so far, but the Alolan Muck actually doing quite a bit of neutral damage with these poison jabs once again.
I think with the introduction of all these drill runs to everything, people kind of missed out on what Alolan Muck can do, and it's a great Ultra League neutralist. And with the poison too, as you see, putting down the pressure and makes the swap. But here's the thing, this poison will actually affect if there is no shield. And it's acid spray. I'm sorry, I thought it was Sludge Wave. My mistake. I got excited on a poison.
That's actually a really great call from Beach. I mean, you could have preserved all that energy on the Muck, but why do that when you can debuff instead? And so now this Como-O actually in a pretty tough position against the Drifblim.
Now we know Kaiser loves shielding his Dragonite. Doesn't love shielding the Como. Debuffed on the defense. Now debuffed on the attack. Can he get one more? Can Beach get it in right before he can?
Just barely cannot get to that attack before it is hexed down by Beach's Drifblim. And now that Dragonite has a lot of energy. You bring that back in, but the Drifblim also has energy to match and will be able to throw the first move.
Oh my goodness. This Drifblim is so oppressive here in the Ultra League.
Yeah.
And it's shiny too.
Yeah, the debuffs alone are worth their weight in gold in the Ultra League, where everything is much tankier. Yeah. But we do see Beach choose, now that the Drifblim has gotten that debuff attack off, Beach chooses to let it go, and Dragonite has a little bit of energy, but does a quick swap into the Surfetched against this Alolan Muck, which will now be able to throw another Acid Spray.
Absolutely, and it's just going to debuff it. And great on Kaiser for remembering, oh, this is Acid Spray. The problem is he's now debuffed the counters. A brilliant move here by the Muck user to be able to get that debuff going on.
This is a great play from Kaiser Tenor, throwing the bait here, knowing that Brave Bird has been revealed, that Beach will suspect it's coming out to play, and instead throwing these Night Slashes, searching for the boost to reverse the debuff from earlier.
For the love of God, help him!
Help me, sir.
Help me, sir!
But now Dragonite comes back out and does have another shield to protect against this Escavalier and is going to be able to get to the Dragon Claw. Is this going to be enough? I mean, Escavalier's not that tanky, even in Ultra. Yeah, just gets that really nice and quick out of the way and able to Dragon Breath the Alolan Muck down. Goodness gracious. Such good adjustments on both sides across the battles we've seen so far.
It really has been in-game macro plays. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just seeing NEB really rely on Dragon Breath. It's just been really oppressive. Of both matchups, I've seen the Dragon Breath coming out real heavy. And oh my goodness! Both of these battlers came out with Empoleons. I'm like, we haven't used this in a minute.
It's so funny because they've both been using so many fighters, right? You'd think that Empoleon would be the last thing that either one of them wanted to bring out. But no, they're going to celebrate here with Penguin on Penguin.
Violence! They're like Empoleon and Empoleon violence. Unfortunately for Beaches, he tried to get in fast move deny. That Hydro or Waterfall did go through, but the Hydro Unit comes in, and both battlers are even in energy. And the swap to bring in the Surf Fetch to counter down. And this is the money, right? This is where you farm down and then throw that Brave Bird on a Venusaur. Pelipper, what is this in the back? The Drifblim.
This is not Fossil Cup, Sosa. Stop thinking that it's Fossil Cup. So yes, we do see the Brave Bird now coming out from this Surf Fetch, but will get shielded from the opposing Drifblim. Great shield call from Beach.
And that's kind of an easy one to call because both moves, the Night Slash and the Brave Bird, are effective on this Surf Edge. And letting it, Kaiser understanding that, just going for the nuke, going for broke to get the shield or do the damage. Then got debuff, lets his Surf Edge come down, and Empoleon comes back to add some more energy.
Yeah, and Empoleon comes in with some energy already stored and is able to get to the Hydro Cannon first against this Drifblim. This is going to do a lot of great neutral damage, but Drifblim now has a Mystical Fire ready.
I mean, ready, roaring, and firing. Bam! But it's not enough.
Oh, it's just barely not enough to knock out the Empoleon. So Kaiser Tenor swaps out very quickly, preserving just a little bit of extra health on that Empoleon for a potential sack swap later. And now is going to employ that tried and true strategy of Dragonite with the last shield.
It's been working. It's worked for him all matchups, saving the shields on Dragonite, saving the shields for this drag, even in the lead, giving the Dragonite the shield. And what has Dragonite come and done? Brought that Dragon Breath in the superpower, and with all that, dominated this matchup.
But is this superpower enough to knock out the Escavalier? It still has a good amount of health. Oh, it is enough here in the end game, but this Drifblim is still fairly healthy and is going to be able to get to the move, but not before the Dragonite wins that charged move priority event.
That is a huge play right there, giving Kaiser the win again. And now, Kaz, it's 8-2. We are just 2 matches in. This is, I mean, yes, every matchup has 5 battles, so you know where they're strong in UL and Great League, they might be weak in the fields, but the fields are matches and using Pokemon that we've seen in numerous amounts of seasons. So I don't expect them to be that big of a weakness, but it's definitely going to be tough to get back out of this 6-hole deficit.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a lot of points left to go, but they've absolutely dominated in the open leagues. And it'll be really interesting to see what the strategy is going into the Master League. I think we got to kick it back to our analysts.
Yes, we do. That was the last matchup of that tournament.
I think we got to kick it back to them and see what they see in the Master League rotation.
We are going to do it. So let's head out over to those guys.
Awesome Ultra League matchup. You called it. Shadow Dragonite. Shadow Dragonite just coming out and doing work in those games. That last game, the triple kill for Shadow Dragonite to close out the game, the really, really big Dragon Claw bait setting up that superpower lethal. Kaiser just bringing the glass and firing the cannons.
Absolutely beautifully said. And especially with the Surf Fetch, there's just some Pokemon that I'm just like, how do you wait? Not Sire Fetch, but the Surf Fetch coming in right off the bat with that Brave Bird, and then Brave Bird and get out of there. That was really cool to see. Just like how much like damage that just obliterated, right? And that was really cool to see that. And then we got to talk about it. Thunderfang Steelix. Thunderfang Steelix.
I mean, you looked at this matchup and you can see like Dragon Tail's resisted by the Empoleon, it's resisted by the Escavalier. Thunderfang's super effective against Empoleon, super effective against Drifloon, super effective against Politoed, and only resisted by that Venusaur that's, not that bad of a matchup anyway when you have Psychic Fangs and Crunch. So yeah, the Thunderfang Steelix, the pretty spicy kind of move mix up there, definitely helping out in the earlier games in that series.
Definitely, yeah. That was a really great one. One thing I wanted to say, like these battlers have been really embracing the spirit of Pokemon with gotta catch them all, making some incredible catches on some of those moves. Like it's some of these things. Like I'm over here enjoying this. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Like I would have just shielded that. But these Pokemon, like I said before, trusting their Pokemon, knowing what moves they can take, what moves they can dish out, and then the proper move timing, all those little things that make these battles so intense and so incredible, honestly.
Yeah, and I don't think we're done with Steelix yet. If we swing on over to our Master League matchup, we've got
well, before we go over to Master League, I gotta say, like, justice for Politoed. I want to see him come out. Look, maybe one day. I just there's some of those Pokemon that you just absolutely love seeing on screen, like that you love battling with, and Politoed is one of those Pokemon for me. So I'm maybe there's hope.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun Pokemon, and the pacing on it's really good. Ice Beam added a little bit to its moveset, but not a lot. But Ultra League is definitely a fun spot to run it. We do have another week of Ultra League going in GBL. Tomorrow starts the new week rotation with Little Jungle Cup alongside Ultra League. So definitely an opportunity to run that new Politoed if you built one, getting some XLs over the weekend on Community Day. But I think we do. There we go. We got the Master League matchups here. You want to hit us up with Panic's team?
Absolutely. So Panic is running with the Giratina O origin form. Yeah, I like to call that the Danger Noodle. And we got a Dragon Knight. We got a Florges, however you pronounce that. Then we have a Mega Slowbro, an Empoleon, and an Excadrill.
Yep, and going over to Uzo's team, he also has the Giratina origin form, the Dragonite, the Empoleon. He's rocking the Mega Steelix as his mega pickup here, the Virizion, and that's a shiny Nihilego. It's a pretty fun pickup there. I do want to point out, chat has maybe picked up on this at this point. There is an Empoleon on every team. There's a Pokemon that was available in each of these metas, and it is a tribute to the Chicago Stars former captain Bernabas, because his favorite Pokemon was, oh my god, Prinlep's the middle one. Piplup was his favorite Pokemon, and so all of these battlers brought an Empoleon as an homage to him, and that's why you're seeing it even here in Master League, where you traditionally would not see an Empoleon.
Absolutely, yeah, it's that's awesome. Like, just kind of like you said, an homage to the captain. So that's really cool to see. But I'm definitely excited. One of the Pokemon I absolutely love using in Master League is that Excadrill. I just love how quick it gets to those drill runs, how much damage it can do with that drill run. So I'm really excited to see that Excadrill on there. But also that Virizion in Master League. I've never seen a Virizion in Master League, so I'm curious to see how that's going to go down.
I've never played against Virizion. I have played against a Cobalion in Master League before, and those have very similar kind of feelings. But I will note the Virizion here is the thing that is very scary for that Excadrill. Just like if you've run like G-Fisk in Ultra League or Great League and you run into a Virizion or a Chestnut, that fighting and grass type resists all of the standard moves. I guess this Excadrill could be running Iron Head, but most likely it's still running that Rock Slide Drill Run moveset, and the Virizion is the one thing on this team it really does not want to line up. The ground is double super effective against Nihilego. It's super effective against Empoleon. Rock Slide, super effective against Dragonite. Super effective Drill Run against Steelix. It is well positioned here if he can keep it away from the Virizion.
Absolutely, and also that Mega Slowbro, I love that Pokemon in general, but like Mega Slowbro is also great with that confusion. Like you said, that Verizon is going to be a dangerous thing, especially if it's running that Leaf Blade, I believe. You want to keep it away from that, but I'm excited for these matchups. I'm excited, but also I gotta give a shout out to that Florges out there running that Vine Whip and then the disarming Florges disarming voice and Moonblast, so it can really put Giratina origin form Giratina in its place in Giratina if it comes to that.
Yeah, and also in the I think that was 2 move updates ago, Florges also got access to the new fast move Fairy Wind, which helps it generate energy even faster, and probably what they're running in this matchup, given that the Vine Whips don't really do much into a lot of these matchups. Noting Mega Steelix loses that ground typing, and it is just a steel type. So that's one of the megas that changes typings, and so it no longer takes super effective damage from Waterfall from Empoleon, for example. So that definitely kind of mixes up what it's doing a little bit here. Both players, the Giratina origins are looking. You don't really want it on Dragonite, but it's not that bad of a matchup. And I guess we have one fairy in play, but there's not no dark types here. So the Giratina origins probably come out quite a bit as just kind of a safe pick here that picks up some of the neutral matchups. And they just want to try to, if they get it lined up with that Dragonite, maybe Shadow Ball and swap out. But yeah, it's gonna be really, really interesting to see how they navigate some of these the Steel Dragon matchups, given superpower is on these Dragonites.
Absolutely. So I'm really excited to see these some incredible battles again. So we'll throw it back over to our casters and we'll see what we got.
Take it away.
Oh, we're gonna take it away as Panic.
Oh my God! Already.
Panic 23, who is actually the newest acquisition for this wonderful NEB team, was so excited to be picked up as a free agent, as he's going to lead with them, and he brings in the Florges and immediate swap out. It's shiny Steelix. Oh, that's so pretty.
Oh my goodness. Look at its best buddy badge up there on its head. And being the pure steel type, it does not like to see the quick swap that Panic did of the Excadrill coming in with the super effective drill runs. Oh my gosh, getting the first shield from Uzo there, and now able to throw the Psychic Fangs. The Excadrill actually throws up the first shield.
I like this by Uzo giving that bait and just putting down the chunk damage, at least helping Dragon Tail a little bit out. We know how much debuffs can help if it just, you can land something. There's no Earthquake on Steelix, so I don't know if he's going to reveal the Earthquake yet.
I think he's certainly
the crunch yet. Sorry,
I think he's certainly trying to make Panic think that it might be Earthquake, because we do see the second shield come up so that this Psychic Fangs can go through. But Panic calls that bait and absolutely lets the Psychic Fangs go through. That is resisted psychic damage onto this part steel type Excadrill, so it doesn't do too much. And now the Steelix going to throw a crunch, getting the last shield.
And that last chip damage onto there with Dragon Tail was really good. The double debuff did a good chunk, but the drill run finally comes through. Oof. Finally does what it needs to do. And now Giratina Origins is on there.
And we do see another quick swap. I still haven't even seen what fast move that Giratina Origin has, whether it's Shadow Claw or Dragon Tail, because we get another quick swap from the Florges Giratina matchup to the Empoleon versus the Nihilego.
Yes, the Nihilego, I will never probably say that correctly, is shooting off those poisons and has the rock and the Sludge Bomb on both of it. A great opportunity for it to welcome it into the Ultra League, as the Rock Slide won't do much damage, but still
we're in Master League now,
Oh my goodness. We're in Master League now. Bring out all the Ultra Beasts.
And we were just talking about how Empoleon is not a Pokemon you see very much in the Master League, but it absolutely dominates that Nihilego matchup and gets it very quickly out of the way and can throw another Hydro Cannon against this Giratina Origin.
and Empoleon has access to that ice typing, but makes the swap, gets the call on. I couldn't tell. Was that Shadow Claw? My mistake. Was that Dragon Breath or Shadow Claw? So it's so interesting the way Giratina is, because it can have both. It is Claw.
Yeah. It is the Claw, which is dealing really great neutral damage against this Florges. But now, with no shields in play, this Moonblast is absolutely going to chunk.
Right.
Goodness! Goodbye, Giratina. Oh my gosh. Saving that Florges, like keeping the alignment was absolutely key for Panic there. And he knew it, right? Absolutely knew that the swap, he needed to stay on top of that swap to keep that Florges in play for the end game.
Immediate swaps, immediate recognition. Absolutely. He was on point. He got his team another point. This scrub rookie of NEB holding it down for his team. Oh my God, the Megas are shiny. I had the wrong shiny gifts.
Oh my gosh.
This is amazing.
Both Megas here. We do see the golden Slowbro against golden Steelix.
Girl, it's water gun.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And the water gun, actually, chat did point out that we do have the Steelix is a steel ground typing still. So this water gun is absolutely chunking away.
That's incredible. Look at it spin around. Beautiful
gosh,
animation.
I love the animation.
Finally. This is great. The shiny Surf is going to go off and do the damage. The water guns, the one-turn move, chunking away. A great opportunity here as a second Surf is going to come. Will the shield come from Panic? Panic spinning us around like a record.
Uzo is almost at the crunch, but chooses to let the Steelix go down. And Giratina is going to come in, which is a really nice choice from Uzo, because it's not going to take nearly as much damage from this water gun. But it will take a lot of damage from this Ice Beam if it goes unshielded. Oh my gosh, that does so much.
So Panic's is just 1 HP in a dream, knows his Pokemon, gets it to that Ice Beam in time, and now has to worry about like one shield Gira that's almost like under half health here. The Shadow Ball won't really do much on Forges, who's just a fairy typing. This isn't fairy grass. This isn't a grass fairy. This is pure fairy typing. So Shadow Balls aren't going to be as effective, hitting very more neutral, and there's still 2 shields on Forges.
There's 2 shields left on both teams here, and now we see both opponents swap into their Dragonites, and it's just going to be Dragon Claw after Dragon Claw after Dragon Claw here.
Uzo there bringing the double dragon combo. Recognizing that there was no ice yet. Now that the ice was revealed earlier, Ice Beam revealed earlier, absolutely ice is coming. But if you hadn't noticed, the Empoleon had a Blizzard on it as well. The Dragon Claw will get shielded. And 2 shields on Panic as he lets his Dragonite go down and brings back the Florges.
Yeah, which Florges does have a shield to put up against this resisted Dragon Claw. So I do think it would have been able to survive, but putting up that shield means that it can throw this disarming voice and just go ahead and knock the Dragonite out of the way so that it still has a little bit of health left to tackle the Giratina Origin.
I mean, literally, I'm now going to be building a Florges because this thing is a monster in the Master League.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the pure fairy typing, pure fairy moves means that it can absolutely dominate all of the dragons that people love to play in the Master League.
Absolutely love to play. My goodness, she just, and not just that, tanky, can take the hits, able to take the hits. Uzo tried with that Steelix, got the debuffs, really didn't know that that water gun user was a water gun user. Could have been confusion. Ended up being a water gun user. Looks like we got 2 teams locked in. Oh, will Panic make the call on the Steelix again? We'll have to find out as the Dragonite goes into the Excadrill.
Oh, the Excadrill is a really smart choice from Panic. It's a great neutral counter to most of Uzo's team. And we see that nothing on Uzo's team wants to face it at all.
At all. Excadrill has been a dominant asset to the Master League since it was introduced to the league. And when you give it Rock Slide, and but till XL G-Fist came in, you give it Rock Slide, you make it worthy against all the Flyers and Dragons. Makes the catch!
Panic makes a beautiful catch of the superpower. The superpower onto this Florges. It does absolutely no damage. And now this Dragonite is debuffed and almost stuck, but no, is able to swap out into the Nihilego, which is going to be absolutely super effective against this Florges.
Yeah, Nihilego having that poison and rock typing, like, doesn't really matter what you're doing to it, Florge. Like, you're not, throw anything. Throw everything. Debuff me. I don't matter.
Let's see if there's any Moonblast debuffs left in the tank here.
Boom. No,
not at all. So, I mean, you were talking in the last matchup about how absolutely tanky this Florges is. Oh, is this a little bit of lag?
Oh, no.
Here?
No, it looks like they're just waiting.
No, Florges was just like, no, I'll just keep throwing my attacks. And Nihilego was like, all right. I can take a few.
The idea seems to not have the ground type farm so much off of it and maybe just let it do more damage. But Panic stopped tapping too, so both battlers understood as the Rock Slide won't do anything to this Excadrill, and those Mud Shots are tearing it away.
Exactly. I mean, they are doubly super effective against the Nihilego here. And Excadrill, after overcharging quite a bit, will throw a Drill Run to knock it out of the way. And does have just a little bit of residual energy left for the Dragonite that comes back in. But Dragonite wins that charge move priority event and is able to throw a Dragon Claw, which I believe at this health range is enough, to knock out that Excadrill.
Great idea to just let the Excadrill go down. Panic understanding a Steel typing on my Dragon ain't gonna be the way to go. Understandable, sir. As Yuzo makes the right call with the Steelix closer in the back and 2 shields, and Panic has to let down that Dragonite. Uzo getting a point back for his team. Come on, Chicago, let's go.
Some great adjustments made there by both teams, but Uzo able to, as you correctly said, put that Steelix in the back with shields and know that it could absolutely tank anything after
anything.
Strongest counter has been knocked out.
You want to superpower me? You want to debuff your defense twice while I Dragon Tail you down?
Yeah.
Sure, pal. Use your shields. Go for it.
Yeah, and now we see Steelix in the opposing position leading against the Florges. A great lead for Uzo, forcing a quick swap to the Excadrill from Panic. And now Uzo responds with his Giratina Origin.
Now, Uzo's in a good position because those Shadow Claws chunk away and build up so fast. The energy now can force shields. You know where the Florges is. You know that it's there. You're here against this. Steelix is looking pretty good if there's a Dragonite in the back. The only problem
that
is
Shadow Ball does so much damage against the Excadrill, and the Excadrill does have another move, but this Giratina still doesn't need to shield.
Yeah, Giratina doesn't want to shield. Giratina doesn't want to be farmed for this Florges. But look at what's in the back. There's an Empoleon. And it's so ready to take on a Steelix and a Dragonite. So we'll have to see how they play it out.
Again, the Empoleon proving that it has play in the Master League.
They all did it as a nod to Burn Bust, but let's be honest. They all did it because Empoleon is so strong.
Yeah, we know the secret now. We know the secret now. And Florges is able to overcharge quite a bit, getting a Moonblast and then some for the Steelix in the back. But then the quick swap to the Dragonite forces Empoleon to come out.
This is real unfortunate for Panic here because having the Florges now married with that Steelix means Steelix is going to just run town again. So this is interesting what Panic will do. He is going to shield. That is actually a big shield.
Great shield call.
Yeah, as the Hydro Cannons are now going to be effective against the debuffed defense of Dragonite.
And Dragonite does shield to protect some of this energy, maybe suspecting that Blizzard, even though it hasn't been revealed quite yet.
Well, Cass, why build up? Why build up unless you've got something spicy coming out?
That's just how great players play. They always suspect that there might be a wild card in the back, but this last superpower is going to connect, and I do think this will be enough still to even debuff to knock out that Empoleon, and now Florges is stuck. From Panic against the Uzo Steelix here.
Mega Steelix! This isn't a regular Steelix. This is a golden child Mega Steelix.
Sorry for the disrespect.
Yeah, it's so beautiful to see Steelix shine like this, especially as one of those steel megas that we have in these leagues. You don't really have many. And with all of the dragons, like you said, flying around, finally you get to play with something else other than, well, not Bastidon, but rock typings or something.
Yeah, and we do see Uzo like understanding the power of that Mega Steelix and able to put it in position to secure quite a few points for the Chicago Stars.
I like how he didn't fear away from it either. Just because Water Gun was revealed by Slowbro, and he even married Steelix on Slowbro, he still was not afraid to bring it again in Game 4, as it's 2-2 now, and Uzo might be giving Chicago that health line as he's getting Dragonite into the the Excadrill.
Yeah, the Excadrill is able to get to these rock slides pretty quickly. We've seen that the non-Shadow Dragonite in the Master League can tank one rock slide that does just about 60% health, but the Dragonite preserves all of that energy and makes a quick swap into the Nihilego to counter the Florges from Panic. Panic just, after being able to get Florges in the right position in that first match, has not quite been able to line it up exactly how they wanted in any of these subsequent battles.
Uzo, a dominant Master League, making the adjustments here. And the beauty about this is that it's 5 games. So yeah, in the most matchups, you know, you get to, sometimes in factions you check out. You still have to play, and Uzo on top of it made the right call, didn't just check out after losing 2, and continues to play here, showing dominance and throwing off these rock slides on the Excadrill. Yeah, they're not going to do much damage, but hey, it's better than a sludge bomb.
Yeah. Any chip damage is good chip damage, right?
Exactly. Well, if it does actual chip damage, that's helpful. Like, this is good chip damage. Good chip damage. Aerial Ace here, not good chip damage.
Yeah, but still, there was quite a bit of health on this Nihilego, so it means that this Excadrill is able to farm quite a bit of energy and still is not going to shield this last rock slide, even though it does put it in the red.
Panic 2 shields, releases everything, and like last time we learned, Dragonite takes this CMP and he gets the first Dragon Claw off. Has to shield everything. So great call to throw the Dragon Claw. Great call to shield. And we're going to see what the rock slide's going to have. Not going to get shielded.
Uzo lets the Dragonite go, saving those shields for the Steelix that has played so well for him in these past couple matches.
Panic sees it again. He is so discouraged.
Oh, no.
He is so discouraged.
No.
The closing Steelix is there, forcing the game 5 quit to Uzo there, winning a positive set. There you go, Chicago. We're chipping back into this. This is not NEB's matchup. Great job there as that Mega Steelix. It just goes to show how interesting factions is. You know, really, it's not about whether you win or lose individual matchups, but just about the points that everyone on the team can contribute. It's one of the beautiful things about factions was, as we talked about earlier in our intro, that teamwork between all the different members. So Uzo knew that even after he lost those first 2 points, he's like, no. I can still get some, though. I told all my teammates and my whole philosophy on factions, if I can get my team 1 point, that's a positive. Yeah, I'm 1-2, but that 1 point might actually help out my another 3-0er. So if I don't get 0-3'd, I feel like I walked away on a even note. We'll say even note, because that's more positive than on a loss.
Yes.
But we'll have to find out what the analysts say about this, because that was some great battles there from Panic 23 and Uzo.
Yeah, those were some very, very close battles. A lot of bad matchups turned into good opportunities, I think is how I would describe that. We saw, safe swap it, like counter swapping the Nihilego onto the Florges, and then the Excadrill getting the farm down, but the Nihilego getting off 2 or 3 rock slides, and then you didn't want to shield any one of those moves, but now your Excadrill's in the red. And we talked earlier before the match about, that Virizion seems like it's the really hard answer for the Excadrill, but we never saw it. We just saw kind of a kill by committee by Uzo onto that Excadrill in those last few games.
Well, that is such a beautiful way to put it. Like, it's really good. I'm glad I got to see that Excadrill come out. And Excadrill, like, it's a good Pokemon in these Master League metas. Like, it'll put out that damage with those rock slides and with that drill run. It was also really good to see the Mega Steelix out there, and when it got matched up on that Florges too, that Florges couldn't really hit it with that Fairy Wind, right? Like, yeah, where do I go from here, right? So that was really cool to see. Maybe one day the Pokemon that I want to see in the match will end up being in the match.
Well, you got the Shadow Dragonite quite a bit in the previous one, but
this is true. Fire/Surfetch showed up.
But yeah, we saw a lot of dragons in that matchup. Dragonite being a pretty neutral mon for both teams, a little bit of Giratina as well. I was kind of surprised that after the Mega Slowbro revealed the water gun, we didn't see more of it. It seemed like it was a pretty important answer for maybe that Steelix, while also just, it's only resisted damage against the Empoleon, but like it can hang in that matchup because it just has more stats as a Mega. So I was kind of interested that Panic didn't opt to keep bringing that, because Uzo just kept bringing that Nihilego back over and over and over again, saying, well, I got dragons. You want to bring that Florges? I'm just going to farm it down every time. And just making things really awkward for Panic in those last 3 games.
Exactly. And like these Master League matches, these are always like so interesting to watch, especially going when you've been watching a lot of those Great League matchups. Kaz said in the chat, like the alignment is so important with the Master League matches. Yeah. So it's really cool to see. And then like really kind of it's great to see Pokemon that are like for instance Dragonite that are great in all 3 leagues, but seeing like which matchups and which Pokemon they can like absolutely take out and which ones they definitely might want to avoid.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the Dragonite line, some Dragonair, Shadow Dragonair in some of the earlier matchups, and then Dragonite in Ultra and now in Masters. And seeing it with the Empoleon, that Dragon and Steel kind of pairing, a pretty solid duo core. The Steel covering you from the things like from rocks and from fairy damage. Exactly. And Empoleon actually, playing a pretty big part in a couple of those games, even though we kind of hedged on it a little bit. You don't normally see the Empoleon in that, but Empoleon really big in the wins that Panic did pick up, being able to farm down that Nihilego with his Empoleon. And also put in some work against the Steelix, resisting the Dragon Breaths from the Dragonite. Didn't actually see the Blizzard happen, but it was there. It was there. The spicy move was there. It didn't quite come. There's a lot of saving 2 shields till the end of the matches, actually, in those Master League games.
Yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking too. Maybe it's because of the bulk of those Master League Pokemon. Who knows? But yeah, definitely a lot of saving the shields, which I wasn't expecting. So. Yeah.
There's a couple of those games. It felt like the extra. You like looked at the team. You're like, well, that's a Dragonite, what was it? It was Dragonite, Mega Steelix, and Nihilego into a Excadrill, and you just didn't shield the Excadrill. You're just like, like we have that information. Seeing the back lines that he doesn't have, he's like, well, if I shield the Excadrill and then the Virizion or the Empoleon comes in, it wasn't worth it. But the Excadrill would have just run over. It feels like a couple of those lines if he just invested some more shields in it, but. That's the mind games of the choose 3 format. The back 2 mons, you don't know what they are, and you don't want to overcommit shields and then end up in a bad matchup you could have won. But also, letting your Pokemon get down to the red, it's a little dangerous as well.
It's a tough call. It's the battle outside of the battle, I love to say. So, so it looks like NEB is currently up with 10 versus Chicago Stars' 2. And
5.
Speaking of, just kidding, 5, just kidding. Speaking of NEB, we have they put together a video as we are going on our Sylph Sunset tour.
Hey guys, Bo Sox Guy 7 here from Northeast Battlers. It's been quite a ride since Kaiser created the server back in 2019. From playing in bronze tier factions all the way up through Emerald. and a multitude of other team formats as well. Really just wanted to give a shout out to the Sylph Arena staff, the team over there, for giving us the platform to play the battles, but more importantly, really for enabling us to forge some lifelong friendships. So thank you for everything, and enjoy the battles.
Echo Field meta. So this is the Echo 1 matchup between Frostfire 14 and Zuoken. You want to hit us? Nightmare versus Keenbart. Nightmare versus Keenbart. You want to hit us with Nightmare's team?
Absolutely. So we've got the Primeape, we've got Snorlax, we got a Dusclops, we got a Dedenne, and we've got a Empoleon and a Mew. Ooh.
And Keenbart is rocking a Alolan Marowak, Venusaur, Mew, Empoleon, Walrein, and Zweilous. So definitely a little spicy team, kind of spicy teams here from both battlers, but both of them also rocking that Mew, and I think the term has been coined, the Mew set here can be a pretty influential option on what exactly you're doing against these Pokemon, because it has a lot of moves, and some of them, like, you have multiple pretty efficient move options in this matchup.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also, if you're not expecting it and you go in with one Pokemon and it's just like, this Mew is super effective in like all of my what is happening, right?
Yeah,
so that's really great. One of the Pokemon I love, this Pokemon Snorlax. My dog just also got really excited about that as well. But the Snorlax, especially with that lick damage, which could also hit back against that Mew on Keenbart's team. So kind of excited to see how that's going to hold up.
Yeah, and also really interested to see what that Snorlax's second move is, because generally you want that Body Slam, just a good neutral option here. There's only a couple things on Keenbart's team that resist that Body Slam, and those are the Alolan Marowak and the Empoleon, which both do take super effective damage from Earthquake. So we might see that as the second move option. Otherwise, he might be running Super Power to hit that Walrus and Zweilous for a little more. So a little bit of mystery there on Snorlax, that flexibility. Also, the Dusclops has access to a couple. Be interesting if they run the Shadow Punch, Ice Punch, or if they go for the bigger nuke with the Poltergeist that was added to its moveset a couple updates ago. I think maybe one of the more interesting things here also is the Dedenne having access to electric and fairy moves. The Venusaur walls it, but those moves do give it neutral or super effective against the rest of Keenbart's team. So it might be an interesting option there to try to shut down maybe those water types or the dragon, because he has no dragon of his own.
Exactly. And also that Primeape is definitely looking a little bit dangerous for Keenbart's team with Empoleon, Walrein, and Zweilous, taking super effective damage with that counter. So really excited to see that. It's got that access to Cross Chop, Night Slash, and Ice Punch. So curious to see what moveset that the Primeape is running. So, and also when you mentioned the Dusclops, how bulky that Pokemon is, I'm always shocked by how bulky it is whenever we have, I like to call it the middle child cup or evolution cup.
Evolution cup, yeah.
Yeah, so how like bulky that Dusclops is. So it's really interesting. I'm hoping that we maybe get to see a Dusclops.
Yeah, Dusclops definitely is a fun one, and it hits everything on that team for either neutral or super effective. So it's pretty well positioned. We did, like, speaking of Evolution Cup, that Zweilous Dusclops matchup. That's definitely a matchup that Dusclops can flip if it has just a little bit of an energy advantage. It gets a little farm down on something, get those Ice Punches coming out really fast off of those Hex, 4 energy per turn, 12 energy every Hex. Gets to those Ice Punches really quickly. And then, yeah, the Mews here, probably Shadow Claw, but you could mix it up here with a Volt Switch or something. And it'd take a hot minute to figure out what charge moves they'd want to run on these ones. Looks like
we don't have time for that.
Yeah, we don't have time for that. It sounds like we've got the battles, so let's just go watch and see what it is.
We do got the battles. We'll find out what the moveset is soon. The Dusclops into the Venusaur right off the bat as Nightmare versus Keenbart kicks us off. And Everybody talked about Mew. No one talked about my boy Primeape. And locked and loaded is he in the back for Nightmare as the first Frenzy Plant's going to come off.
Yeah, I mean, Dusclops is a very tanky Pokemon, can take this first Frenzy Plant, and is able to overfarm. We do see that the moveset for this Dusclops is the double punch, the Shadow Punch and the Ice Punch. So these Ice Punches, there are 2 of them now ready for Nightmare, and they are going to hit for super effective damage on this Venusaur. So Venusaur does, from Keenbart, does choose to throw the first shield.
Right, and now give up the shield, gonna take it again, knows that he could take at least one, just didn't want to get nuked by something, right?
Oh, just absolutely trying to farm down as much as possible, Keenbart, but has to throw this Frenzy Plant before the next Ice Punch can come through.
Ice Punch, Shadow Punch, it was loaded with whatever energy before it could farm it down. Ooh, I like this. Snorlax in the back might be great for Nightmare right now as the next Frenzy Plant's coming off, and Primeape's going to get some good health. Now, it has access to Cross Chop, Close Combat, and Ice Punch on top of Night Slash, and it's going to be the Ice Punch and Night Slash, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, Keenbart does bring out the Mew, but this Primeape does have the Night Slash ready, and Mew is going to take almost 50% damage from that Night Slash attack before Nightmare brings in the Snorlax to lick down this Mew.
Mew with Volt Switch, since we saw it aired in Japan earlier this year, has just been a showstopper now, because you play as more of a anti-flyer, and there goes Mew access and energy onto this Snorlax now. Venusaur has very little health, but enough to farm down a bit, and it's back to Zweilous. Now, this is interesting on Nightmare. The superpower would be super effective and get the shield, and he knows he's got up to 2, and he does call the bait, make the bait call, and he gets that shield. Now he can get to that superpower.
Yeah, now he gets to throw this superpower, but will have to throw up the last shield in order to do it, because Zweilous wins the charge move priority event and tries to get a body slam through.
And this superpower is going to be real heavy, and it's also going to give that switch timer enough backup, and bam, immediate swaps, and Venusaur is up 1, 2, 3, and there's an Ice Punch ready to go.
Yeah, and Venusaur does not have enough health or energy to get any moves off before it is countered down by that Primeape. Primeape doesn't even need to throw a charged attack. It just can absolutely punch its way through.
Primeape, so gorgeous. One of my favorite. If it
wasn't
so weak, he's got the quickest hands. Not only that, he's got access to that Ice Punch. So now Nightmare has revealed that double ice strat. Maybe this hits the Venusaur now, and we'll see how they play out. Same Pokemon, except now Mew is out, and it's a Alolan Marowak.
Yes, I mean, Keenbart has tried to make some adjustments, bringing in some different Pokemon, but we do see the same team from Nightmare leading with the Primeape instead, but swaps to the Snorlax when Keenbart brings out the Alolan Marowak.
Now, Alolan Marowak, a lot of paddlers, the original standpoints, the original moveset is Shadow Ball, Shadow Bone, and then Bone Club. But a lot of people have brought in that Flame Wheel, I think it's Wheel, and have used that to surprise a lot of neutral matchups like this Snorlax. So it's really interesting to see the Snorlax not give up a shield, and for the Marowak to just keep throwing Bone Club and not build up for the Flame.
Yeah, I mean, Marowak, it doesn't like the lick damage, but it also Keenbart knows that they don't need to shield these body slams either. Choosing to try and get some chip damage with that Bone Club, but inevitably the Alolan Marowak is licked down by Snorlax, which now still has quite a bit of energy for whatever comes in next.
Yeah. Not revealing the Shadow move, or the Ghost move, because Snorlax is really anti against that Ghost move. Don't matter. That normal type would be like, you throw something.
What was that?
Body
was that a tickle?
Ooh, Shadow what? Shadow Ball?
And so now Snorlax is able to throw 2 body slams against this Venusaur, which in Great League, which we are now back in the Echo meta, this Venusaur is not quite as tanky as we've seen in other leagues, and so is taking a lot of damage, but can fast move down the Snorlax and get a lot of energy.
I like this call of having double Ice Punch users by Nightmare here. A great thought process, and then bringing it and using it properly. Valve, again, the Primeape could have had anything, but he chose the Ice Punch, and look at what he's got to go up against. He brings the Primeape onto this Walrein. It don't matter. Like, Cross Chop would be great, but if he procs a Night Slash, the counters are going to add up. Primeape is such a fierce beast.
Yeah, Primeape is already pretty attack weighted, so it's a very glassy Pokemon. Does have to shield, and Nightmare knows it, but these counters are going to absolutely stack, even if there's no proc. I mean, look at this Walrein is already down to below 50% health.
You know, when Primeape could be meta, and it was only battled once by Miss Anhav, it has
wins 100% of the battles that it's in.
100% of the battles.
And we see Primeape farm that Walrein all the way down so that it does have an Ice Punch ready to go against this Venusaur, and this Venusaur from Keenbart has no more shields to hide behind. Goodness gracious.
Everybody sleeps on Primeape because it's so frail, because it's so fragile, it can't take a hit. But man, oh man, close combats. If you land a close combat on Noctowl, that's 91 damage on its like 120 or 140 health. Like you're nuking it. Like it's absolutely
a wild amount of damage. But I do like the moves of Night Slash and Ice Punch in this particular meta, and it's Nightmare knows it. It's serving him particularly well, even against this Venusaur matchup, which does not seem like a positive one. The Ice Punch comes at the same time that Venusaur reaches that Frenzy Plant, but Primeape wins the charge move priority event and actually throwing the Night Slash bait to try and get that boost and the first shield from Venusaur.
It looks like Nightmare has decided to build a Barbie dream house inside of King Bart's head, and he is keeping it up and like renting it out every matchup. He got the call bait, he's got the lead. The Marowak doesn't want to see a Night Slash, and he's almost at a second one too. Marowak's charge moves aren't fast. This is fire spin. So he could even get to this second Night Slash and force the but he makes the catch. Gosh. Oh my goodness, they are catching them all out here. Who is this? Ash out here?
Beautiful catch from Keenbar or from Nightmare of sending his Snorlax to catch that Bone Club from this Alolan Marowak, and now this Snorlax is primed and ready to lick the Alolan Marowak all the way down.
I wish Snorlax would also be, it would be like Lickitung and Snorlax. I'd love to see Snorlax in on the main stage.
What are you doing? Are you insane?
Yes, absolutely. Have both of them with Registeel. Let's really make this an interesting metas.
Okay, someone gets us out of here. He's out of control.
As we're getting another Frenzy Plant in on this Snorlax.
Yeah, and Snorlax is not as tanky in Great League, cannot take that Frenzy Plant, but Nightmare chooses to save that shield, knowing that the Primeape still has energy stored and that he's got a very tanky Dusclops in the back.
Now, King Bart did something really great here that I'm just noticing. In his back lineup, he brought in the Dark typing Dragon again. Oh, but the proc! Look at what counter does.
No!
2 counters went through. That was 2. Even though he had the great idea of bringing the Dark user, that counter user just took out half of that dragon's health. One Ice Punch and it's over.
Absolutely disgusting amount of damage from that boosted Primeape. My goodness. And this Dusclops does choose to throw up the last shield in order to throw this Ice Punch.
Oh my goodness. Now, Echo, the meta for Echo was Pokemon in slots that were from different metas that were used all over the seasons, all time low. And I'm telling you now, I don't remember Primeape being useful in any meta besides nothing.
But now Keenbart has this Venusaur in a position to get quite a bit of extra energy, but not before this Dusclops gets to the Ice Punch to knock out.
And Xylos was also a very great one in last season. I remember a lot of the people were using it as their dragon users, but it's not looking good as Nightmare is really bringing on that Nightmare.
Oof, yeah, I mean, the double ice punch strategy, there's just not a whole lot that Keenbart can do against that, since a lot of his team is weak to that ice damage. So we do see the Dusclops from Nightmare leading against this Mew from Keenbart. And since this Mew is not running Shadow Claw, it is not going to like to stay in this matchup longer than it has to.
No, that's great. Getting the wild charge to throw. Yeah.
Yeah. Immediate wild charge throw and dip. A very smart play from Keenbart.
Yep. And I mean, ready with the shadow punches, ready with the ice punches. So much energy here. Great call by getting Mew out of there immediately as the shadow punch is just going to land and in comes the Primate.
Oh, man.
There comes the hands.
Well, yeah. Primate has hands for days, and this wall rain safe swap from Keenbart is not safe at all against this punching ape.
And
Which
really
isn't even going to throw a charged move, going to put up both shields, farm all the way down, because this Nightmare's Primate knows that the Mew is going to come back in with no energy, and now this Primate has 2 Night Slashes ready.
And there's a good opportunity that a dragon or grass type is in the back. So Primate locked, loaded, ready to go. Gets the bait again. Hello, Ken. Get that beach house ready. Click.
And now, I mean, Nightmare has gotten those boosts before. Why not try again? And gets the second shield from Keenbart all in one go. But now this Primate will go down to a Frenzy Plant from Keenbart's Venusaur.
No shield, no problem, as Primate got all of those shields off the Venusaur. Now I mean, yes, the Volt Switches and the Wild Charges are going to affect Snorlax, but is it going to be enough from those licks? Makes the tap and gets it before another catch could happen. These battlers are trying to catch everything. Great job on Nightmare to overfarm. Same on Keenbart as well. But Keenbart's like, nah, I'm not overfarming. I want this thing off the table. Not realizing that it's still a Snorlax in the back.
Yeah, I mean, Keenbart, it's a good play, right, to try and get that Dusclops off the field. You think it makes your Mew a little bit safer, but now the reveal of the Snorlax in the back is going to result in a very uncomfortable endgame. This Venusaur does get off a Frenzy Plant, which does take a significant amount of health off of this Snorlax, but now Snorlax has a lot of energy and a super effective fast attack ready for this Mew. Oh, but Mew does get the surf
right in time, and it's enough.
It is enough. In the as I said, in the Great League, that Snorlax is not nearly as tanky, and so all the overcharging in the world wasn't going to save that Snorlax. I mean, a beautiful dance of energy there between these two very high caliber opponents.
The wild charge in the beginning from Keen was huge to recognize that and realize, oh, I've got to get out, but I'm going to take a shield with me. I'm going to take a shield with me. You're going to either give me a shield or you're going to get some damage. And great call here. But the Primate, I don't know why the Primate left, because the Primate doesn't have to worry about the Shadow Claw, and here comes the Dusclops.
Yeah, I mean, the Primate left because it is a glassy Pokemon and does not want to take those Volt Switches more than it has to, even though it does have access to the Night Slash. So choosing to bring in the Dusclops Nightmare is actually a very smart play. Getting the energy advantage over anything that comes in means this Dusclops can absolutely force shields.
Yeah, but it gave up. Keenbart gave way too much energy to this Dusclops, who has 2 ice punches. And if you're gonna swap in your Venusaur for it, I mean, that's a hard swallow right there. I'd have thought the Lolamarrak would have come out a little bit better, even though there was all that energy. Shadow Punch doesn't do too much, but Ice Punch on that Venusaur. Venusaur has been your main heavy hitter. Look at that. 2 Frenzy Plants and that tanky Dusclops is out. So
I do really like that play from Keenbart, overcharging quite a bit and throwing just before the Dusclops could throw another Ice Punch, getting that Ghost out of the way and making room to start forcing shields from Nightmare.
yeah, it is a good call. That the Frenzy Plant does come out, gets the first shield from him, and now the Night Slash comes out. I mean, if you're saying goodbye to Venusaur, you're saying goodbye to Venusaur as it's going to head to the Pokeball, do its thing. No proc here. Good. The Marowak has not been revealed yet. There it comes out, ready to play.
Yeah.
And immediate swaps. Thinking that you're going to try to swap and catch there, and no, and it's a lick onto that Mew.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great call from Nightmare, overcharging and getting energy yet again onto that Primeape so that it has a Night Slash ready, which is super effective against Keenbart's 2 remaining Pokemon.
Oh my goodness, the licks are just so one-turn oppressive. And now comes the next dangerous weapon on this Snorlax, the Body Slam Spam.
And Keenbart does put up the last shield to try and get a little bit of extra energy on this Mew before throwing the Surf, and knowing that this Snorlax is super effective against the 2 remaining Pokemon just as much as the Primeape is. Snorlax throws up the last shield from Nightmare to throw off this last Body Slam.
Yeah, and that might have allowed the switch timer to come up just in time, so this Alola Marowak, oh, I guess not. I thought the timer was ready for the swap to throw out the Night Slash, but the Body Slam is here.
Yeah, I mean, neither one of the charged attacks from this Snorlax are effective against this Marowak, so that all of the damage is going to come from licks, meaning that this Marowak is getting an absolute insane amount of energy onto this Marowak. But I still think that Primeape comes in and wins the charge move priority.
Oh, here
and
we go. The Night
Slash
Slash ready to go, and it does!
Yes!
Is it enough? Oh, I keep hitting my dress.
I think this is enough because Primeape is very attack weighted.
And it is. You're absolutely right. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely
Incredible knowledge of the strength of that Primeape from Nightmare there. I mean, like you said, a lot of people don't want to deal with that very glassy monkey, but here it has demonstrated in dominance of the Echo Field.
Absolutely. One of those Pokemon that if it's your favorite to play and you know how to play it, you can use it properly to your favor, just like the Mews, just like the Pelipper's, any sort of heavy attack-weighted glassy Pokemon. But we're going to go back now, as that was the 5th matchup. NEB's got a 14-point lead, 14 points over the 6 on Chicago Stars, and our analysts are going to break down the first bit of this Echo. Analysts, what'd you see?
Take it away.
I mean, that was a Primeape show. I don't know what else to say there. Primeape just put on, and looking at these teams again, you can see it. Nightmare bans out that the Psychic type, the Confusion user, the Oranguru, and he's like, well, I feel like Primeape's really strong in this meta, so I'm going to ban Keenbart's Primeape. And then Nightmare's Primeape just put on a show.
Absolutely. Primeape was like, I've got these hands and they're rated E for everybody. Like, I'll fight anyone. Like, so, and it was really great to see like how, like, I mention it almost every time, but the knowing your move timings and all that, how like Mew would come in and throwing that Night Slash like and then dipping out. It was really great, like absolutely fantastic plays that I was seeing like with these battlers. But Primeape just he showed up and showed out. So
and Nightmare realizing he wanted to bring that Primeape every game, he often was pairing it up with that Snorlax and the Dusclops, those 2 bulkier Pokemon, so he could throw the Night Slash, throw a couple counters, swap out, and just be like, well, we're just going to tank the move on Snorlax or Dusclops. Like, you can hit us with a Frenzy Plant. That's fine. The first one, we don't have to shield that. You still can't farm us down. And then being able to, like, get to a move that, forces, like, oh, it's an Ice Punch. Oh, it's a Body Slam. I think I need to shield that. And then you just don't have enough shields for the Night Slashes at the end of the game. Just really, really well played by Nightmare, seeing that kind of wrinkle on the meta. And just taking advantage of it here against Keenbart. I liked seeing the Zuelos in a couple of those games, but man, it took that one time. The Primeape was on like this much HP, and like 2 counters from the Primeape put it the Zuelos at like half.
It was insane that boost. Like Primeape is it comes to fight. Like that's why it's a fighting type, right? Like I said, those hands are rated E for everybody.
Yep. And the Alola Marowak did some work there, but it kept finding itself on the Snorlax, and with just Bone Club and Shadow Bone, just no really to flip that matchup. Like Sosaflo was saying, like some people bring the Flame Wheel or the Fire Blast to try to like crack that matchup open, surprise your opponent. It works really well in a GBL format where you can just surprise one opponent after the next, but it is kind of hard to run that moveset in a best of 5 where you throw that Fire Blast once and then they know, like, oh,
Yep.
like I don't have to shield anything till he gets to 8. Like, oof, just kind of makes the matchups a little bit rougher for you. But yeah, these opponents bring in the heat here with the glass cannons, the damage. Venusaur doing its best. Like it felt like none of the matchups were bad for Venusaur, but Venusaur still didn't quite make a big impression on the matchup.
Exactly. I was actually about to say that too. Like Venusaur, like it was there. It was trying and trying to pick up a lot of the slack that the Primate, Snorlax, and Dusclops caused.
Yeah.
So like those are just some really good Pokemon. Also the double Ice Punch that with the Dusclops and the Primate were using, both had that ice Punch just like locked and loaded, which was pretty strong against a lot of Pokemon on the team. The Venusaur and that the Zweilous.
Yeah.
So really great battles. Like I had fun watching that. Like literally just watching the battle. I was having a blast.
And there were some sweet catches in there, but also some really good patience. In a couple of those games, Keenbart recognized like, oh, the Ice Punches are coming. The Ice Punches are the problem. And trying to catch Ice Punches onto his Alolan Marowak where it would be resisted. And I think he tried to do that 3 times during that 5-game series. And every time Nightmare was just like tapping the fast move again. And then the Marowak comes in and then it's a Shadow Punch or it's a Night Slash or it's a swap out to the Snorlax, and just really a tough spot for Keenbart when he wasn't able to make those plays when his opponent was just kind of seeing through it in that matchup.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm excited to see what our next battlers are going to bring us.
Let's head over to Echo 2 where we've got Frostfire versus Zooken.
So the team that Frostfire has chosen to bring, we got Venusaur, we have a Dedenne, we have a regular Dragonair, a Walrein, Empoleon, and a Haxorus.
Ooh, Haxorus, yeah. Zooken's got that Alolan Marowak, Whimsicott, Empoleon, Crustle, Hypno, and Celio. Interesting. Bringing the Celio here instead of the Walrein to get that little more body spam action potentially in this matchup. But I think the thing that jumps out at me first is that Haxorus is a really fun pick with access now to Breaking Swipe and Night Slash.
Absolutely, that Breaking Swipe with the automatic attack debuff, which is super fantastic. That thing is, I love Haxorus. It's really glassy though, but it can put out that damage before it does go down. The Pokemon that jumped out to me was the Hypno actually on Zooken's team.
Yeah,
Hypno back in the earlier days of GBL, like that was kind of like one of the kings of the meta. It's fallen a little bit into the shadows now, but it's still a really good Pokemon with access to the Punch Suite, the Focus Blast, which will catch a lot of Pokemon off guard, and the Shadow Ball. So I'm kind of excited to see if Hypno comes up to play.
Yeah, and on Frostfire's team, we see that only the Empoleon resists Confusion, and nothing on the team resists Shadow Ball. So that is a pretty good situation for that Hypno to be able to come out and maybe Confusion something down and then threaten probably just that Thunder Punch Shadow Ball moveset. Maybe you're running Ice Punch, but probably not. It only really helps you out a little bit with the Haxorus or the Venusaur, but you're already doing huge super effective fusion damage to that Venusaur. So yeah, I do. That Hypno's in a really good position in this matchup, and probably trying to line it up on any of those. The Crustle's the other thing that I'm pretty interested in here. There's only one Pokemon that resists rock damage, and that's also that Empoleon. So I think the Empoleon may have to do a lot of lifting here for Frostfire's team.
Absolutely. The Empoleon's going to have to put the team on his back and like, hey, all right, team, let's go. So I'm excited, but any like no trainer is unbeatable, right? So like just going down to shield management, energy management, move timing, like any of these matches can be flipped up if you play properly.
And we'll see how these players play them out, and if some matchups can get flipped here with our casters.
Oh,
I am.
we're gonna see some flips for show.
I mean, we've already been seeing so many like catches and incredible energy management from these players. So yeah, I'm excited to see more. And I actually realized that last matchup was the first time we hadn't seen an Empoleon actually come out.
Oh, that's true. No, they did
So-
not bring out the Empoleon at all. But
And
there you
here
go.
we make up for it.
Way to make up for it right off the
With
bat, Kaz.
the two that our analysts called out, Hypno versus Empoleon, both of them, I mean, the confusions are actually resisted on the part of Empoleon, but Empoleon is able to deal some pretty good neutral damage back.
I'm looking over at this Hypno and I'm seeing double elemental punch. No
Yep.
shadow ball. So really interesting. That waterfall went through too. So I don't even think Hypno's going to get the second thunder punch off. It will get the first one unshielded. So that'll be great. And turn down your music.
Just
Wilco.
one. Yeah, Hypno survives just long enough to get that second punch off because it is a pretty tanky Pokemon for the Great League and is able to knock that Empoleon out of the way.
Yeah, that was a great play. They're building up to just two, almost all the way down, not shielding. Both battlers now have two shields.
Oh.
But Walrein into Celio into the Jenny, that's interesting because this is a water Pokemon.
Yeah, that's a really interesting call from Zwoken. Preserving that 1 HP Hypno for a potential sacrificial swap later, and will be able to start throwing quite a bit of body slam spam, as one of our analysts, the 6'4 Ninja, mentioned, but is taking quite a bit of super effective damage from all of these attacks in the meantime.
And that's going to be really upsetting when you see that because there is a Venusaur and an Empoleon are going to be battling each other in the back. So both battlers need to keep shield advantage because it's not going to be friendly for anybody here shortly.
Oh, yeah. And the Venusaur does swap into this matchup from Frostfire to start stacking some energy just before getting that oh my god, Celio out of the way, and now is primed against this Empoleon in the back from Zwoken.
Oh! You can't call yourself a top battler in a world if you don't make a catch like that. We've seen it all night, and it's still going down.
It's so true. A beautiful catch from Zwoken of the first Frenzy Plant onto the Hypno. Hypno able to do one confusion worth of damage before going out. And now Empoleon is in a pretty tight spot against this Venusaur that still had the energy advantage.
The catch was so clean. It doesn't matter, though, because that Venusaur was so far ahead of energy and even had a shield. That's such a tough one. But GG's there as it looks like Frostfire gets the first battle there. That Venusaur call, so huge.
Yeah,
So
Venusaur in the back with the extra shield and that little bit of energy advantage. Incredibly strong for Frostfire.
Not to mention, Dedenne was there too. We see Frostfire in the chat rocking his so proud of the Dedenne.
Yes, and we do see Celio from Zwoken now in a prime position against that Dragonair. So each opponent quickly swaps. Zwoken going to his Hypno as a safe swap, and Frostfire has that Empoleon ready.
Yeah, thinking the Celio wouldn't come back again. It comes back hard, and it's met with the Dragon. So he's so happy about that. Again, we're going to see this matchup. 2 Thunder Punches ready to go. And Hypno with
now,
1 HP and a Dream's going to get that second one off. Oh,
I mean,
my goodness.
Zwoken knows this Hypno obviously quite well, is able to get to both, but no, the Empoleon has energy and throws in time to stop that Hypno and its second punch from coming through, leaving Zwoken without the Hypno, but with the shield advantage.
Great adjustment by Frostfire there, recognizing the double Thunder Punch strat from last matchup, and instead of holding on to it, waited for 1 punch and 1 CMP as he's going to get another Hydro Cannon off on the Empoleon. Now, these Empoleons have just... I literally need to play
Oh
every
my gosh.
Empoleon now. It's so
Is
good.
Zwoken absolutely farms the opposing Empoleon all the way down, meaning that he has 2 drill pecks ready for this Dragonair. It's a neutral damage. Dragonair is not that tanky though, and will take one before the swap out into this matchup, which is painful for both Pokemon. Venusaur from Frostfire against the opposing Celio from Zwoken. Now, it doesn't have access, well, it does have access to an Ice-type charge attack, but is instead going to throw the Body Slam spam because we see that it's running Water Pulse instead of its Ice move of Aurora Beam.
Yeah, like Ninja said in the analyst, he was surprised to see the Celio. But you can be like Celio wins in these these mirror matchups against Walrein and stuff like that. But when you get it up against the Venusaur and you need that ice move, you're in so much trouble. And unless you're mirroring that matchup, and you're not, then you're giving up shields. And here comes all of that Powder Snow. 2 shields, both the battlers now. No more shields left. And you don't have an ice move on this Dragonair. So you got to just Body Slam and Powder Snow down.
Yeah. Who needs ice when you can just have all the spam normal damage in the world, right? Right? We all know that. And we see how much pressure the fast attack of Powder Snow can put on the Venusaur and the Dragonair.
Celio, a great Sylph Pokemon. Before Walrein Community Day, absolutely a stunner to wall those Laprases and those Walreins early on.
Yeah, I remember when we were all like, Walrein who? It's
Walrein,
the middle evolution that's
Lapras.
the good one,
Yeah.
right?
Lapras and Celio, those are the bulky ice Pokemon you want.
Those are our ice waters. But yeah, and now Celio coming back to reclaim that title. And we see again this matchup from the Celio from Zwoken onto the Venusaur from Frostfire, and once again we get our safe swaps of Empoleon from Frostfire and Hypno from Zwoken. And Zwoken's not really messing around with the energy this time, going to go straight punch.
He's like, you adjusted to me, I'll adjust to you. Thank you for reminding me that you're a good battler. Now let's play some more. Zwoken did win that last matchup, even though he did have to take this Hydro Cannon. But getting that one off now and taking that damage, he's going to get to this second Thunder Punch and throw it immediately. The Waterfall does come through, bringing him down to the super deep red where one more Waterfall will happen. Doesn't even matter, though, because the Thunder Punch will KO Empoleon, and he's going to bring back out, I would say Venusaur, but he's bringing in Dedenne!
Gotta bring the faves when it comes down to the wire. So Frostfire brings in Dedenne to get a few extra fast attacks worth of energy. And I mean, neither one of your Pokemon really wants to see him have Dedenne in the back.
That is absolutely correct.
And now the Dedenne still will have to take the spam from this Celio. Can take a few and is going to overcharge quite a bit before throwing the first discharge. Will this force the first shield from Zwoken?
Nope. I like the play here by Zwoken because you've got tons of information. You know the Venusaur is there. You know it's a little bit of energy. You've got your fire moves. But what charge moves does that Marowak have? Because Marowak can't take a Frenzy Plant. And if Marowak has 2 shields now and has to take any chip damage, gonna be in a world of hurt as 2 discharges are ready to go. And like you said, any chip damage is good chip damage. So
that's my motto.
Yeah,
I'm sticking to it.
Get rid of the shield, that's good chip damage. You get in the second shield, that's even better chip damage. Now your Frenzy Plants can come and do some real effective damage.
I mean, this is really smart play from Zwoken giving up both shields here, knowing the fast attack pressure of Fire Spin is going to do a lot of damage to this Venusaur. The Venusaur has 2 shields, but will get baited by a Bone Club to start with, and now Zwoken going to go ahead and throw the Shadow Bone.
Is it a bait if it's super effective against that poison typing? We're talking about chip damage here, right? But the Fire Spins, both shields are gone. There was a preservation of energy, no debuff from that Shadow Bone as the first Frenzy Plant's gonna be released.
Yeah, but these frenzy plants are resisted. They do quite a bit of damage though still. And now there's no shields left in play. The Shadow Bone is coming out from this Alolan Marowak and will knock the Venusaur down to 1 HP, but the Venusaur has the Freddy plant ready. Oh my gosh, and this will be enough damage to take out the Alolan Marowak. Oh, wow. I mean, it was a good play from Zwoken, honestly, but Frostfire knew that the Frenzy Plant from Venusaur cannot be questioned.
It can't. But the real question is, what are those IVs? That's 1 HP and dreaming of heaven right
Yep.
there. You know, not even
was
debuff,
incredible.
not even the fire spin took it out. It just magically made it, and he gets that, Frostfire gets that 16th point for his team, getting the dubs, and in comes the Hypno onto this Dragonair. Now, the second
this is-
elemental has not been
Yeah.
revealed yet. I wonder
This is
if-
actually really interesting because, yeah, we have not seen the Ice Punch. So I wonder if Frostfire thinks that the Dragonair is a really safe answer here.
Yeah, clearly. Here's the question, though. The shielding question is,
Oh no, we see an immediate no shield, thinking that this is just going to be another Thunder Punch, but Ice Punch comes through, and Hypno not able to quite confusion down before this Dragonair gets to a body slam, but Hypno going to throw up the first shield to protect all of the energy it has now on this Hypno. And I mean, we've seen this matchup before. Empoleon comes in and will be met with the first punch, and Hypno, I think it might just barely be able to get to the next one.
I don't know. That waterfall came
it
through.
needs one more confusion.
A lot
it does.
of video. Okay, the Thunder Punch is
Oh
going
my
through. Great,
gosh.
excellent Thunder. Ho!
Again, 1 HP and a dream for Zwoken, and his Hypno gets 2 Thunder Punches off, and shields are even. And now this is kind of a unique matchup because both are dealing, well, the Empoleon's dealing neutral damage with these Drill Pecks to the Celio, but Celio is quite tanky, can take one, and will have to throw a resisted body slam onto this Empoleon.
Resisted body slam, resisted water pulse. What isn't resisted from this Celio? I mean, good lord. Ooh,
Impervious.
Impervious to everything. Great
very
call
nice.
again by bringing the Marowak. Tried to bring in the Venusaur to get that extra tap. The Marowak is here. The Marowak is tearing apart. And the first Frenzy Plant comes through. 2 Frenzy Plants, even if he lets it go, wouldn't take out the Marowak yet. So you want to save the shield for the Celio in the back. But you never know. These matchups have flipped all night.
Yeah, exactly. Frostfire overfarms a little bit, but then does throw the first Shadow Bone, gets the last shield from Frostfire, who now has another Frenzy Plant ready. But you're right. I mean, the Marowak could survive this, and knowing that Zwoken does not shield, gets just barely, like, gets one more fire spin through and then able to throw this Shadow Bone to knock the Venusaur out, leaving very little farm for the Empoleon that comes in. And now the Celio has a body slam ready.
Nothing Empoleon was gonna do to take out this Celio. It is way too healthy, way too tanky. Even if a shield came through, it was not going to save it.
A great adjustment from Zwoken and a really strong knowledge of energy play there in that end game.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And now the whole setups of Thunder Punch, Thunder Punch, Thunder Punch, and now hitting with the Ice Punch. Mwah, well done setups. This is the 5th battle. We are 2-2 here. Zwoken can get his team a positive, and then it can all come down to the Pandora or Pandemonium meta. But we get the Frostlass. Finally, the Frostlass comes out.
Interesting swap from Zwoken into the Celio. I mean, yes, Celio is a tanky Pokemon, can take this first Shadow Ball, but is not really able to deal significant damage back to the Frostlass. And now Frostfire swaps in the Empoleon to take this first body slam.
And that body slam, as we see, does about a good 1/8 of the health. little bit.
Little
But another body slam's gonna do another little bit.
A pittance, as they would say in old-timey Europe.
As Sire Fetch walked by and saw the pittance of damage this Celio did to the Empoleon, he scoffed as Celio throws another pitiful body slam.
Empoleon from Frostfire able to absolutely over-farm. I mean, honestly, doesn't even need to shield this last body slam from Zwoken Celio and has a ton of energy. I mean, 1 HP. So we'll only be able to throw one move, honestly.
One of those two charge moves.
Because we do see the confusion going through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, we're having so much fun watching these Sylph factions. This is the world matchup for 3rd place. These guys are battling it out, and it's just looking like such a fun time here. The Frostlash draws out the Marowak, and it brings in the Aquatail Dragon using Dragonair.
Frostfire was like, all right, I see what you're doing, and now I know what to do when the Hypno comes onto the field. And does rightly have the Dragonair in the back ready for this Marowak, as opposed to the Venusaur he had been bringing. Bone Club doing not a lot against this Dragonair, so Dragonair is going to be able to get to this next Aquatail, which is going to severely threaten this Alolan Marowak. Do you shield if you're Zwoken? No, choosing to let it go with all of that energy, depending on the confusion damage of Hypno to see him through this end game.
The problem is that Hypno has nothing that's going to affect Frostlass. Thunder punches, ice punches, bring it on. And I like how now Frostlass is here, gonna have 2 shields, has energy, and what's the Sylph key rule about Frostlass? Frostlass with energy and shields beats everybody.
The entire meta, no matter what it is, if Frostlass is allowed and she has 2 shields, it's over.
And not for nothing, that was beautiful, because for a solo Sylph battler, that's a great nod to Sylph and Frostlass closing out, because Frostlass, once introduced, put kind of Hypno in the back burner, because Frostlass was not around in the first 2 seasons of Sylph, and Hypno was so dominant. Oh my god, it was so dominant because of all of the movesets it could have. Once Frostlash, Trevenant, and Sableye started joining the ranks and they started making their adjustments, those confusions didn't do so well. But a great nod there, and a wonderful little fun fact is you saw those 2 dominant MVPs of Sylph Worlds and Sylph Factions and Sylph Season 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 show up to give us an end.
Yeah, those are some incredible matches, and I'm excited to see what our analysts think about them.
Yeah, let's kick it over to them now. Y'all good? Brian, you're muted.
So I was definitely loving. Sorry, go ahead.
I would say it's definitely a very close series between those 2 battlers. That 3-2 matchup, just a lot of back and forth there. The Hypno Empoleon matchup, we saw I think 4 times, and every time it played out just a little bit different. One of them switching in before the other one, them throwing on a different timing. Just a really interesting back and forth there between those 2 Pokemon that we, kind of saw coming. As these are kind of the backbones of these lines against each other's teams.
Exactly. I was gonna say we got those classic rivalries. We've got Coke versus Pepsi, Optimus versus Megatron, and now I guess we can add Hypno and Empoleon in there too. Yeah, every time played out just a little bit different, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the Alolan Marowak, it surprised, like, it feels like it should be better into Venusaur than it ended up looking in a couple of those games. The Dedenne really paving the way for it. I think that was in game 3, coming out of that previous matchup with the Celio with 2 discharges loaded. The AWAC having to shield both of those, and then not having shields for the Frenzy Plants. And the Venusaur, it was on 1 HP. And managed to get that last Frenzy Plant off. Just a lot of really close games, well played by these battlers. And I'm sure they've done a lot of grinding to find Pokemon that have pretty optimal IVs for these metas.
Exactly. And our caster said it earlier, like we always talk about with Frostlass. Excuse me. Yeah. Frostlass, if you give her energy leads and with shields, unbeatable.
Yeah. I mean, Zwoken could have tried to 5-hit it by bringing out that Crustle to try to just rock damage down the Frostlass, but just such a high risk pick into some of the other things on Frostfire's team. And so we didn't see any of that. But yeah, and also no Whimsicott. I was kind of surprised. The Whimsicott felt like it should be pretty good as a stopper for those dragons that Frostfire had, but ultimately, and also the Dedenne, but ultimately didn't feel that good into the Empoleon, Venusaur, or Walrein. So a little surprised there. We didn't see any of the Whimsicott after 5 games, but a lot of Empoleons, a lot of Celio. Like our caster said, an all-star from the earlier seasons himself. Before there was Icicle Spear, there was Body Slam.
Yeah.
Celio has put in a lot of work to a lot of metas, and good to see it here as we close out Sylph, that there's still Celios around Body Slamming things.
Absolutely. All right,
I think with that, we're going to head over to the Pandemonium meta. This is a very strange meta for anybody that hasn't seen it before. It was a whitelist meta. There was a small pool of Pokemon. I think the initial pool was maybe 15 or 16 Pokemon, so 18 Pokemon. So it's a very small pool going. And every week they adjusted the meta based on the usage rates of the Pokemon. So removing some of the top things, adding in some new things. So the Pandemonium, it actually was Pandemonium. And when you look at these lines, I think you can feel that Pandemonium. You want to hit us with what Jay Mills' team there?
Yeah, absolutely. Jay Mills is leading. Has a Molga, which is great to see that thing out there in the battle, right? We've got a Greedent. We've got a what is that thing called again?
Malamar.
Malamar, yes. I haven't seen that in a hot minute, but I do love that Pokemon in GBL. We've got a Girafarig, and we have an Empoleon and a Nidoqueen.
And on AJV's team, we've got Jirachi, Lanoon, Empoleon, also the Malamar, and the Emolga. And then that's a Shadow Kanto Muck. So a really interesting, looks like kind of a dark poison psychic kind of sub theme going on both of these teams with a confusion user. The Malamar there is the dark type. Actually, it's dark and psychic. Triple resists confusion. Really don't want to get your confusion user lined up on that. And then having that poison type that does pretty well into the Malamar because it doesn't really throw psychic moves very often. Usually its moveset is superpower and foul play, although it can run Hyper Beam. Not to get anybody's hopes up. I don't know that we'll see a Hyper Beam here, but it can run Hyper Beam. So we have a chance at that. But I think overall here, maybe the Empoleons and the electric types maybe have a little bit more play. We see both of those on both teams.
Exactly. Also with that Shadow Girafarig, that does have access to double kick as well.
Oh, that's true.
So with Empoleon with the Linoon, that Girafarig could be pretty dangerous if left unchecked.
Yeah, I think that the first game that shows up, it may be a really big surprise to AJV and may adjust what he is bringing for the rest of the match. If it's got that confusion, you really don't want that Shadow Kanto Muck out there. But if it's got that double kick, you want the Shadow Kanto Muck out there, and you can leave the steel type and the normal type maybe a little bit further back or try to protect them behind something else. The trying to see anything else. Both of them have a poison type. The Nidoqueen, there's 2 steel types though on AJV's team, and that makes it, I think, a little more awkward for J-Mills to try to bring his poison type than it is for the Kanto Muck.
Exactly, especially with steel double resisting that poison. So I'm intrigued to see how these matchups are going to play out.
Yeah, I think we can throw it over to the casters here for game number 1 of Pandemonium.
Oh my goodness, it is Pandemonium. There was like more and more like it took me forever to find the list. There's like 50 Pokemon that's out there. And Molga into the Malamar though. That Malamar, they mentioned it, a lot of fighting could have been used against the team for Chicago Star, and Malamar is bringing that fighting. But we can all get beamed.
Yeah, hashtag get beamed. And we do see Emolga has the updated moveset of Acrobatics and Discharge. So we'll actually throw a bait of Discharge here. And the Malamar chooses not to shield, calling that. I mean, Malamar's not a very tanky Pokemon. Can take 1 Discharge, but will have to shield this second one if it wants to preserve this energy.
I was about to say, was that a bait if half your health is gone? Immediate gone. But look, both
Yeah.
battlers brought the same 3 Pokemon. Emolga into Malamar, Emolga into Malamar, and look at that. We're going to get Emolga. Oh my goodness.
Well, when you only have a white list of like 17 Pokemon each week, you know,
It's,
there's gonna be a little bit of density to
So
this meta.
I found the whole list. There's like 50 Pokemon that's had to have been grown, but I don't know if that means 50 Pokemon throughout what they were able to use. But the Emolga and the Malamar were definitely top picks here. And it looks like another discharge as we see. Half the health of the Malamar gone. This is incredible.
Swap for swap.
Oh my gosh. Who's gonna shield? Because the way it looks like we're gonna have an Emolga and 2 Empoleons battling each other out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we all gonna save all of our shields for Empoleon? Okay, got it. This J Mills actually overcharges quite a bit of energy, really wanting to force the last shield from this Emolga, but this Emolga is so low health that AJV decides not to shield and instead brings in the Empoleon to clean up this matchup.
Recognizing that the Switchcock could be up makes the shield and saves it for the superpower so that he knows the superpower, he's not going to lose it immediately, because that's what you do. Superpower and dip as the opponent's opposed.
Exactly.
J-Mills Empoleon joins the field, and the first Hydro Cannon goes off.
Shields are even, the health on these 2 Empoleons is not. So we do see J Mills, who is at the health disadvantage, overcharging quite a bit and will force the last shield from AGV as he throws the first Hydro Cannon. AGV now has another Hydro Cannon ready. And if you're J Mills, I mean, you kind of have to shield this because you need to be able to throw this next Hydro Cannon and get that last shield out of the way.
Absolutely. Not even get that last shield out of the way. Do some damage here, and so that you can get into this Emolga in the back on this water Pokemon. And there goes the last Hydro Cannon goes down, or Waterfall takes out the Empoleon, and J Mills gets the first. Was it J Mills side? J Mills got the first one.
Yes, J Mills got the first point there for the Northeast Battlers. Oh my gosh. I can't believe they were both running the exact same team and we almost got a complete Empoleon mirror matchup in the back there.
Incredible play by both of the battlers as the Nidoqueen now comes out onto against this.
And if Nidoqueen is going to be on the field, that's where you want to see it. So we do see a very quick swap into the Malamar from AGV.
Now Malamar only has the Psycho Cut, which is the super effective move, but the foul play won't do much, and a superpower is debuffing yourself. With Nidoqueen having its own debuff, you know you're not going to use a superpower, but here comes the first foul play.
Yeah, and I mean, a really smart play by J Mills using that debuff to put this, the opposing Malamar in a really tough position where they won't even be able to take one foul play.
I like this. Throw it now. Let's get rid of this Malamar. Let's see if they're paying attention. They are not. You're already debuffed. Just debuff yourself some more. They can't like farm you down. They're gonna have to throw. Will you shield? That's all you. You're not AJV.
Yeah. No, because I mean you're already like triple debuffed at that point. There's no point in shielding that Malamar anymore. Save your shields for that Empoleon, just like you did in the first game. But now this Malamar does have quite a bit of extra energy and will be able to throw a foul play against the opposing Emolga from AGV.
I mean, either way, it's not going to look pretty for AJV because there's an Emolga and a Nidoqueen in the back. And the minute the Nidoqueen sees the Empoleon, it's immediate swaps. There it is. I mean, Waterfalls are really putting down that fast move pressure. So if they recognize that, maybe, just maybe, there could be an opportunity where AJV farms down or just Waterfalls down Emolga. But the problem is, if you do that, you're giving up the shield advantage and going to lose shields now. Because, I mean, Waterfall will be effective against the Nidoqueen, but the Nidoqueen doesn't need much against that Emolga. And if it's going to farm you down, it's going to shield it and farm you down.
Exactly. And we do see AGV trying to get that huge farm down, but J-Mill still has both shields and will be able to throw them both up to protect the Nidoqueen.
Yeah. It's a great call there by AJV in recognizing what the opportunity was and where where you needed to shine. But it's just even a better call by J Mills, who showed up with the Needle Queen this time. I was like, all right, if we're going to think the same. And I'm kind of happy we don't have the same Pokemon against the same Pokemon. I mean, woo!
Yeah, I mean, a great play by AJV, knowing that the power of the fast attack waterfall on that Empoleon was the key to victory there.
Yeah, absolutely. And against that Emolga, which it looked, from my perspective, it looked very RPS, like Emolga was going to win, and the Needle Queen was just going to throw one power poison fang, and it was going to be the end. And it didn't happen that way. A great job by AJ as he brings in the Empoleon into this Malamar.
Yeah, and this is kind of a dicey matchup because in the lead, the Malamar could just throw the superpower and dip, but AJV switches to his own Malamar, and now will be able to employ kind of the same play, almost throwing up a little bit of a bait in that foul play, and now is stuck with extra energy against the opposing Malamar.
It's incredible to watch. There looked like a catch was happening. It looked like they were going to overfarm and then throw on the third tap, and the catch didn't happen. Great job by J Mills for recognizing that and holding on to the energy, as now his opponent is just 2 waterfalls down. A superpower would do some effective damage, and J Mills gives up the shield.
It's a great shield call from J Mills, getting a little bit of extra energy on that Empoleon and protecting the health there. I mean, he just saw his opponent use their Empoleon and its fast move pressure against him, so he's like, you know what? I can do that too.
I can do that. I can do this. Hold on.
We do see J Mills immediately throwing the Hydro Cannon here, forcing the first shield. The first shield from AJV to try and protect the energy on this Emolga because it is overcharging quite a bit.
This Emolga is loaded up, girl. Like, this thing has 2 discharges ready to go. If Empoleon ever survived that, it wouldn't survive a fast attack or another one. But Emolga has still the discharge, which doesn't want to be seen by either Malamar or opponent, the Emolga as well. And I like this play to just draw out the energy.
I was just going to say, this is a great play from J Mills, bringing in the Malamar to soak up some of that energy, knowing that they could come in with their Empoleon, or with the Emolga for this Empoleon in the back.
It's really tough because waterfalls really do a lot of oppressive damage, as we just watched in that last matchup. And there is a shield, like 2 discharges need to go off, and then there still needs to be another energy for the back Pokemon, the Emolga in the back. Like, this is not...
J Mills throws on really great timing there to avoid the Empoleon from AJV getting to that Hydro Cannon and being able to throw it. But now AJV's own Emolga has the move ready.
AJV is playing out of their minds with this this chess matchup that they've got going on, where the energy and the fast move of the waterfall, they're really taking advantage of that, building up the 2 energy charge moves and then throwing again. We've seen that happen now with the last matchup from Chicago Stars. It seems like they're really good at building up to 2 charge moves and taking the damage. As you look at it, and it's an Emolga into this Malamar now, and the damage is going to be thrown.
Yeah, I mean, we see the same 3 Pokemon on both sides, just sort of trading positions every game, moving to a slightly different position in the roster. But now, I mean, Emolga's able to overcharge quite a bit here, but Malamar does get to the moves pretty quickly, can take this first discharge, and AJV does choose not to shield, knowing that they have the foul play ready for... but the Emolga does get to its second discharge, and now AJV has to shield to protect that energy. But this puts it in a great position to be able to overfarm a little bit before throwing the first foul play.
Unless J Mills wants to shield, and they're not going to. This meta here, we've seen the same Pokemon 3 times now. These battlers know what they're doing. They clearly know how to play with this energy, so brace yourself. I'm just surprised we haven't seen Linoon yet. with the access to Thunder and Grass Knot or Dig, could be and Shadow Claw, like could have been really good here. And so far, nothing, unfortunately, from the Linoon, as another foul play is going to go off and put the. I guess it's not big enough, not as deadly enough as this.
And we see that AJV's Malamar actually does win the charge move priority event and is able to throw the superpower onto the opposing Malamar. J Mills, still choosing not to shield, will throw this next foul play to get the opposing Malamar out of the way. And J-Mill still has 2 shields for his Empoleon in the back. Again, he's seen it work before, so why not try again?
Empoleon closing out the way, and look at that. You watch the fast moves doing the chunk damage as you saw in the last matchup. He's like, all right, you're going to do it to me, I'll do it to you. He's getting the fast moves off now as the Hydro Cannon CMP went to Emolga. The Hydro Cannon now goes off, forcing the final shield from AJV. J-Mills now gonna just chunk away. Can he get the next charge move? No battler can make a catching switch. So a next discharge is getting sent off.
And I mean, J-Mills will have to throw up the last shield here to protect this Empoleon. And I mean, you can't farm all the way down. You're going to have to throw energy before this. I'm getting my E Pokemon confused before this Emolga can throw its next discharge.
It definitely is a mouthful with the Emolga and the Empoleon in this matchup after Echo and Pandemonium, because there's so much going on. But the Hydro Cannon from AJV will take the Empoleon into the yellow. But J-Mills has the Malamar and takes the damage.
J-Mills is able to catch the Hydro Cannon onto his very low health Malamar, and now will he be able to get to his own Hydro Cannon before being farmed down? No. AJV in absolute dominance of the energy on his Empoleon, able to secure yet another point for the Chicago Stars.
I'm pretty sure that's the first positive set from the Chicago Stars this tournament. So great job by AJV there to help his team out and get himself more points as they continue to battle it out. But with the same, the Nidoqueen came out.
The Nidoqueen comes back out to play, but we do have a mirror match between opposing Emolgas here. And I mean, we see J-Mills actually choosing not to throw, opting to get an extra Thunder Shock in.
And it's very helpful if fast move denial was still a thing, and it's not, as another Thunder Shock comes in from AJV. But the discharge is there. Will he get his shield? No. Allows the Emolga to go down. Both battlers are mirroring each other, and J-Mills' Emolga is winning the CMP there.
Exactly. It's so key to know in mirror matches such as this, which Pokemon is going to win that charge move priority event. And AJV choosing to let his Emolga go. And who do you come in with to get a little bit of extra chip damage? The Empoleon, of course.
The one that has the best fast move damage.
The Pokemon that has the most to lose.
3 waterfalls and this thing is out of there.
But I mean, we haven't seen the Nidoqueen from J-Mills revealed, so AJV might be giving up his best card against that Pokemon in the back.
That's absolutely correct, as those waterfalls would have been super damaging to the Nidoqueen like it was last time. And this time, Nidoqueen is here, going to take the foul play and just going to start putting that pressure down on this Malamar.
Yeah, I mean, the fast pressure alone, you don't even need like the high charge move of Earth Power, but J-Mill's absolutely going to go for that nuke move that Nidoqueen has, suspecting, and rightly so, that AJV does not shield, and that is a huge amount of damage.
Yeah, immediate no shield. Love this call, because now you can have your guy come in and farm it down. Oh, They're not tapping.
Oh yeah,
He doesn't want to lose all that health. Yeah.
He doesn't want any farm, and both opponents. Oh my goodness.
Battlers, thank you. We appreciate
you.
the gameplay, but
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it shows just like the skill level that we're dealing with. They know that they don't want to give their opponents any farm, and they know their opponents know that they don't want to give them any farm. So they.
What are you doing? You have 2 shields. You had 2 shields. It wasn't a bait. Oh goodness me! Oh my! AJV.
I was still focusing on the gameplay, and meanwhile, freaking Jay Mills ends the game by knowing that his opponent would call a bait. Oh my gosh, incredible play.
So battlers out there, just so we're aware, if you ever have 2 shields, always shield the first one. Who cares? Always shield. It could be the earthquake. It could be the superpower. If you have 2 shields, use the second one.
If it's your last Pokemon, I don't personally understand it either. But I mean, it does goes to show that Jay Mills, like the sort of thinking that goes into it, right? He thinks that his opponent thinks he's going to bait. So why? Why bait?
Why bait? Exactly. Beautiful. As our analyst will break down the Emolga, Empoleon, and Malamar line probably for 5 minutes. Analyst, what else did you see?
Take it away.
Well, that wasn't a hyper beam, but that sure felt like a hyper beam, landing a superpower through 2 shields to take game 5 there in that matchup. Just a gutsy play, but it's the kind of calculated gutsy that makes these battlers top battlers.
100%. And then speaking of top battlers, like the fact that both of them stopped tapping because they knew, like, I don't want to give you energy. Like I'm onto your tricks and you're onto my tricks. So like that's I always think that's like incredible to watch these battles. The Empoleon, Emolga, and in Malamar.
Yeah.
This is incredibly condensed. I was hoping maybe a little bit of Jirachi action, maybe a little bit of Linoon, but
yeah,
you can't get everything, right?
The Linoon, I think Sosa made a pretty decent case for it. Like, it kind of makes sense into a lot of this stuff, having access to Thunder and Grass Knot. It's like neutral or better into most of these Pokemon, but it just doesn't quite get to that same, like, Empoleon's a beast. We've been seeing it all night. Empoleon has been beasting it up in every meta, and no surprise here that it was beasting it up again. These 2 Empoleons battling each other, farming down electric types, doing everything except tanking superpowers. Empoleon just looked great.
Exactly. I thought that was an incredible battle. Did catch me off guard with the double shield, the 2 shields left in the last battle. Is like Sosa said, always shield the first one because you never know, right?
Yeah, and I think these players, they're making those kind of calculations in their head that he has this much energy, I have this much energy. If he baits here, I can shield the next 2 and farmed all the way down with that fast move pressure. I don't think I can get to 2 charge moves before they get to the 3rd one, so it doesn't make sense to play to that out. So the players making those calculations, and just sometimes it just slips past you that, like, oh, if I no shield this one, I might just lose.
This is true.
But yeah, Malamar looking really good in these matchups as well. The foul plays, 2 foul plays killing pretty much anything in this meta, especially on these teams. And then the superpower there for the big plays against Empoleon. Emolga, I don't think we saw very many acrobatics. We saw a lot of discharges, but rarely going up and actually throwing that acrobatics, which I think in quite a few of these matchups, just like you don't acrobatics the Emolga, you don't acrobatics the Empoleon. So I guess maybe you could go for a blowout against Malamar, but it might not even one-shot a Malamar, and the Thunder Shock doesn't give you a lot of farm down pressure. So just a little bit easier and safer to just go straight discharge, I guess, in most of these matchups.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely some great matchups there. It was, especially with how condensed this meta was. It was really cool to see those battlers take Pokemon that I'm like, oh yeah, I know that Pokemon, and just like absolutely like take it straight to the top. So
yeah. We did get to see a little bit of Nidoqueen. It did feel like it was pretty good into both the Emolga and into the Malamar, but just the danger of the Empoleon just farming you down. Yeah. And I think also feeling that nerf to Poison Fang, right? Having to throw that 6th poison jab to get that Poison Fang and just not getting much return for it. We saw in a couple matchups, it stayed in, it threw the Poison Fang, it swapped out. But like at that point, like the discharge was already lethal. You didn't need the debuff. And so it just felt a little bit awkward now running Nidoqueen. And I think that matches most other trainers' experiences if you've tried running it since that Poison Fang nerf.
Exactly. I agree. But
I think we have one more Pandemonium matchup to close it out for tonight and close out factions altogether. We'll take it to the Pandemonium battlefield one more time with Bosox Guy versus iFelici. We got these teams up here. You want to hit us with Bosox Guy's team?
Absolutely. So we're not seeing too much variation, but we've got a Mulga. We've got a Greedent. I love that little squirrel. There's also Malamar again. We've got that Shadow Girafarig, Empoleon, and Shadow Nidoqueen this time.
Oh my goodness. iFelici's team, in comparison to the other 3 teams, now feels incredibly spicy. We have the Jirachi, which we saw but didn't see. We had the Lanoon, which we saw but didn't see. We have the Empoleon. We saw a lot of that. But then that's a Galarian Slowking, a Beware, and a Shadow Beedrill. So a little more super, I guess running the Beware is kind of a replacement for the Malamar, having that kind of neutral stab move potentially with Stomp, and then having access to Superpower, and Beedrill doing it kind of, most of the teams we've seen have had one poison type on them. It's hard to tell what that poison type's supposed to be pressuring here. We're not seeing any fairies. We're not seeing any grass types, but people still liking just that neutral poison damage in a number of the matchups. And then Beedrill having access to Drill Run here can blow out an Empoleon if you don't save your shields for it.
Exactly. It can also hit that Empoleon. It can hit that Galarian Slowking too if you aren't paying attention or ready for it. And also, if you have that X Scissor, it might do a little bit of damage against that Jirachi in case that comes.
Ooh, that's a good call. X Scissor actually double super effective against Malamar. So running it as kind of a poison, but also relying on that bug damage may actually be really helpful to kind of pressure that Malamar. He doesn't have a Malamar of his own. We saw how much Malamar got played in the last series, and maybe we see a little bit less of the Malamar with that Beedrill there to pressure it.
Exactly. And honestly, I think that we might see a little bit of Girafarig in this go round too, because with that double kick, you're hitting the Linoone, you're hitting the Empoleon, and you're hitting that the Beware as well. So
yeah, Beware. The Beware is going to be a little like with that Girafarig being a normal type, with the Greedent here as well, and the Malamar being dark psychic. Beware it's in a tough spot. Maybe that's why we saw so much Malamar. The other superpower users just feel kind of awkward in this meta. I think the thing I'm hoping to see the most is that Greedent. That little squirrel is a terror in some of these Great League field metas and also in Ultra League at times. So I'll be excited if we see some of that. It does have Crunch, which hits pretty much everything there for neutral super effective other than the Beware, and you can run the Body Slam spam for that. I think most Greedents are still running Bullet Seed, but you can run Tackle for some of the matchups if you want a little extra fast move pressure.
Exactly. I'm really excited to see these. I say we just jump right into it because like this one's for the good guys, right?
All right, Empoleon Emolga, let's go.
Empoleon Emolga, let's go. I'm excited about Bosox Guy right there. He wants to do it. All right, so Bosox with this shiny Malamar against the shiny Beware. We got shinies all up in here, girl, and they're matching that blazer of yours.
Yeah, it's a nice sort of warm toned color palette there. But this is actually not a great matchup for Malamar because the Beware has access to the Shadow Claw, which is doing like neutral damage, and Malamar is not tanky. And I mean, the Beware resists the foul plays, does have to worry about the superpower, and so iFelici does throw up the first shield.
I like the call here by iFelici to bring in Beware because of the Malamar play. It's the same thing. Either they're going to do a neutral normal damage of foul play or body slam, or they're going to hit you with superpower and debuff themselves. But the superpower goes through.
Yeah,
and now That was
yeah.
Empoleon on Empoleon.
Yeah, superpower does absolutely knock out that Beware, and now we have Penguin Violence once again. Bosox guy with a little bit of extra energy, able to get to the first Hydro Cannon.
Bosox J-Jan is definitely rocking
Bosox
the Malamar. On top of that, he's got the Greedent. That's what I want to say. He's got the Greedent back there. And against that Jirachi, having that Greedent's going to be really effective. So we'll have to see how they play out these last matchups, because Jirachi getting some energy could be real helpful, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. It's going to be the case here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Ifelici gives up on the Empoleon, brings in the Jirachi to get a few extra confusions of damage, but really doesn't want to see anything in this backline.
It is so hard. And Greedent's rocking that tackle too, so it gets to those charge moves a lot faster than the Bullet Seed and a lot quicker than those confusions. As Doom Desire will make that smiley little squirrel feel something. The squirrel's gonna throw off a
somewhere.
crunch.
Whether it's effective is questionable, but yeah. The Ifelici does throw up his last shield to protect from that crunch. And this confusion is absolutely chunking away, but the squirrel is able to get to this last crunch, which at this health level will be enough to knock out the Jirachi.
Not just at this health level, it was debuffed as well, too. So
yeah,
all in the favor of the Greedent. Now, both Bosox guy and J Mills had the same team, and we never saw Greedent come out once. And the minute we saw Greedent, it shined so beautifully here. Like, so well done. It's a great Pokemon, wonderful moveset for sure on it. We'll see how they adjust. Both battlers adjust, as they were talking about that very dangerous Beedrill, but you don't want to see it with the Empoleon, because
oh my god, and a Shadow Beedrill is absolutely taking huge amounts of damage from Waterfall alone, but Poison Jab does allow Beedrill to get to this drill run, forcing the first shield from the Empoleon.
That Steel typing doesn't want to see it and makes a catch. Oh, Ifelici's like, nah, bro. We're not playing it this way. I'm catching it. I'm keeping my Beedrill. And I'm being told it's Infestation Beedrill. But look at this. It's double kick Girafarig in the back.
Yep. Our analysts called it the double kick Girafarig, absolutely deadly against this Empoleon, and going straight for the Thunderbolt, knocking that Empoleon all the way off the field. Ifelici has the shield advantage, but this Giraffe has such a Swiss Army knife of moves under its belt, and it is taking super effective damage though from this Beedrill, but able to just barely get to the Psychic Fangs.
Yeah, that Infestation on the Beedrill, really effective against the Psychics, good against the Darks, but it doesn't want to see those Psychic Fangs and gives up the first shield, gets debuffed. I mean, Empoleon is coming. You know it's coming. Oh, and it doesn't. Instead, the Drill Run's going to come and meet the Greedent.
Oh my gosh. And the squirrel can take quite a bit of damage and is not gonna shy away from the Shadow Claws on this Beware. I mean, Beware is a fighting type, has access to that superpower, but this squirrel is doing a ton of neutral chip in the meantime.
Yeah, finally, when they unlock Tackle and Quick Attack for the normal typing, Pokemon like Greedent really got to shine in a lot of these condensed metas and get to be able to throw off energy that you would, the superpower comes through. But it doesn't matter because it's all about those waterfalls.
Yeah, Bosox guy putting all of his faith in the waterfalls on this Empoleon and doesn't shield this superpower.
What is happening?
What? Why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening?
Battlers know they have shields, right? Battlers, you know you have shields, right?
You know you have shields to use. You know the opponent has superpower. What is happening?
Oh my. I was literally about to sing TLC's Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls, but it was Superpower funked out of here and blasted out to the sky. Who cares about your waterfall if you're not shielding Empoleon?
Oh my gosh.
And Beedrill, just so we know, Beedrill
Absolutely.
didn't have energy. It dipped. It
Yeah,
threw drill run
no,
and dipped.
it absolutely dipped out. And this, as has been pointed out, this Beedrill, it does have the fast move of Infestation, which is even faster than Poison Jab and dealing quite a bit more neutral damage along the way.
Yeah. It's going for the X Scissor here, which would do some good, okay damage to this normal typing, but has to move out or else it's just going to sit there and soak up so much damage. As now, and we've seen this before. I wonder if Bosox JJan was told by his teammate, hey, or if Felici was told by their teammate, hey, shield Empoleon and waterfall down. Let's find out, because this was a big game player for everybody. The waterfall is so important. Look, y'all, shield Empoleon. Forget every other Pokemon. Shield Empoleon. Seems like Empoleon, just if you shield it, the waterfalls will just take it out.
But the Emolga from Bosox already has the discharge ready. And I mean, this is not going to get the last shield from iFelici. Instead, they are going to rely on their two back Pokemon, that Infestation Beedrill and the Beware back again, and ready to get some neutral damage against this Emolga with Shadow Claw. Oh my god, Emolga already has a move!
The Thunder Shock is so deadly and so quick to build up energy, and the discharge takes about half of Beware's health. Beware looks big, it looks fluffy and huggable, but it cannot take a hit.
But now it has farmed all the way down, has 2 superpowers ready, 2 stomps ready for whatever comes in next. And it is the Greedent, which can take the Shadow Claws, but will not be able to take this superpower. You have a shield.
I like how you called that he has the energy, and you know what? This was a third shield situation. He drew the energy off that to Beware because he knew if he's throwing the superpower, he's got a dip, and now it's Girafarig game. With that double kick, Beware cannot handle it. So Girafarig can either get the shield here or get to that big charge move and go after the Beware in the back.
But Girafarig cannot take the Infestations or X Scissors from this Beedrill. Both opponents now giving up their last shield. And I do think that, oh my gosh, the Beedrill gets
Girafarig gets the Psychic Fang first. That was CMP.
Is that a Girafarig winning CMP tie against a Beedrill? I didn't think that would be possible. I didn't think that was something I would see. But this is the world's third place finishers. Anything is possible, apparently.
It didn't matter about the Girafarig because the Beware took it down.
Good gracious. That was incredible use of that Shadow Girafarig. Oh my gosh. An absolute confidence in that giraffe to be able to pull off that B matchup, even though it looks so incredibly bad on paper.
The BB matchup, the Beware, the Beware, the bees,
all the bees, all the
and the Empoleons. Empoleon, king of the bees in this World Finals game 3. Now it is game 4 between these two battlers, and this is where you want Girafarig. Yeah, you're taking effective damage from Shadow Claws, but those double kicks on top of the second thing is going to add up.
You're not, though. The Girafarig is a part normal typing, so it's not taking any damage from these Shadow Claws. I mean, look at that health bar. And it's forcing the Beware now to throw the superpower, and the Girafarig from Bosox guy does rightly shield.
Yeah. Girafarig here, super OP now that it gave it that shadow boost, and on top of that, it's got the Psychic Fangs to get to, the double kick as well. It's been given a lot of work, and in this last season, I found it to be very useful, as well as other battlers too.
Exactly.
I mean, girl, this Empoleon is just waterfalling everybody. Listen to the rivers and the lakes you're used to. This waterfall, don't go chasing it. You don't want it. Get out of here, Emolga. You don't want this waterfall. Although you should.
Oh my god! And in a reverse, Emolga farms Empoleon all the way down before the Empoleon from iFelici is able to get to the next Hydro Cannon, and now has multiple discharges to throw against this Beware. And we saw how much this did earlier. This Beware does not want to take all of those, and absolutely still goes down, putting all the faith he has in this bee.
In one Shadow Bee on an Emolga, and there's a green in the back.
Oh my gosh.
Does someone not remember Ionic Cup? Does somebody not remember Ionic Cup?
Oh, and we do see Emolga finally going straight for the acrobatics there, but loses the charge move priority event to this Beedrill, forcing the last shield off of this Emolga, and now able to throw that acrobatics onto this bee, which is going to knock it all the way off the field and then some.
B is blasting off again as Emolga just annihilated it out of the matchup, giving the shield to Emolga. Bullsox JJN did a great job there, shielding and properly using Emolga. If the debuff on the Girafarig was the helping point to get the Emolga to farm down that Empoleon there, as it's the final battle of Sylph factions. This is the final matchup. Here we go. Girafarig into this Beedrill.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we saw how this played out before, but we do see Bullsox immediately swap that Girafarig out, knowing how powerful it could be in the end game. Going instead to the Emolga will take a drill run. I mean, this flying typing means it's neutral damage, and the Emolga can take it actually quite well before swapping out before iFelici swaps out to the Empoleon again, of all things. But now it's going to take oh my gosh, a significant amount of discharges from this Emolga. I'm getting all tongue-tied here, so this is so crazy.
iFelici seems to have called the back line and understands that they're playing the same three again. So it's investing all of his shields into that Beedrill, getting the Emolga to dump all the energy. Yes, it doesn't look like a good idea right then and there where you lose that heavy hitting Waterfaller, but you've got the Beware back there that you've done so well with, and if you know the Greedence in the back as well, you're gonna need that superpower over anything. Not to mention the Beedrill is so dominant, and there's the Girafarig.
Yeah, the Girafarig comes into the matchup that it actually really wants to see, able to use that double kick fast attack to really put a lot of pressure on this Beware before the Beware can swap out, only to have to catch a Psychic Fangs.
Oh goodness.
Oh my
gonna
gosh.
debuff this Beedrill. Now Beedrill's gonna be locked in on this, but he's got the X's are ready to go. Will Bullsox shield this?
I mean, if you this is a great play from Bullsox, because you will reach the next Psychic Fangs immediately, and this absolutely knocks the Shadow Bee off of the field. And now you're left in the matchup with that Beware, which really, I mean, it has some energy. It will be able to superpower you, but will you be able to get to the super Psychic Fangs first? No. Beware able to throw up the stump, which will knock the Girafarig out.
Don't worry, he's still got his David Ortiz sitting in the back, big chunky smiley over there, gonna knock this game and win it like it's 2004 for him all over again. Here we go with the body slam, and there it is. Even if he threw double superpower there was still enough health left on the Emolga to farm this down, and that would have been super effective. GG's as the Greedent takes it. That's it, girl. We're done. We're going back to the main stage now. We're going to be joined by our other two analysts as we have now finished off and seen NEB, our third place winners of the Sylph World FSPN Worlds.
Incredible.
Analysts, what'd you see here in this last matchup?
Man, Emolga did a lot of work for Bullsox guy. The combination of Emolga and the Girafarig really kind of put him in a position that was hard for iFelici to deal with. iFelici identified it was a double kick Girafarig, and so he kept bringing the Beedrill because it resists those double kicks, but the Psychic Fangs do so much damage to Shadow Beedrill, and the fact that the Girafarig wins that CMP.
That is insane. I still can't wrap my brain around that fact.
They paste the exact same to the X Scissor, the Infestation to X Scissor, and the double kicks to the Psychic Fangs paste the exact same, and the Infestation just doesn't do enough damage, and so that it just felt like the second Psychic Fangs always came out on that CMP or first and just made that Beedrill's life really hard, even without confusion on the Girafarig.
Right, I was like, man, you're putting in the confusion user right there with that Girafarig, because it's going to see that be all the time. And he made it work with the double kick, forcing the shields, like you said. And Psychic Fang does that beautiful thing, and all those debuffers like Psychic Fang and Poison Fang really synergize with the rest of your team. We saw it in that early matchup. We've seen it all night, water falling down in Molga. And yet in the last matchup, when it was a debuffed Empoleon, those Thunder Shocks took it out and had tons of energy for Emolga to start blasting off and helping the rest of the matchup. It was such a great well played by both battlers for the in-play macro. Pandemonium did not seem like it was really fun to play in. I don't know. I've just literally saw 10 battles and they all had
those are definitely some
Pokemon.
very dangerous matchups. There is no, like, Greedent is almost bulking Great League, but there is no real bulk anywhere there on those teams. And so there was a lot of like, well, you got the farm down, GG. Or, well, I don't think I can get to that second move in time, so we'll have to call the bait. Oh, I died to the superpower. Like, very, very volatile matchups.
Yeah, just a knowledge of the energy gain and like the switch timing was absolutely integral in those very like fine glass cannon matchups of this meta.
Yeah. A lot of Pokemon that could literally just one-shot the stuff on each other's teams, and just makes managing your shields and your health just so meticulous, so careful. And these are some of the best battles in the world. This is the third place team and fourth place team in all of factions for season 2. Just amazing battlers displaying their skills and trying to navigate these almost nightmarish matchups.
Not to mention, a lot of these battlers are world finalists that we're going to see this weekend too. So it's incredible matches that we saw, absolutely, from both third and fourth place. Congratulations to Elite TMs for winning it all for first place, but absolutely here, these two teams could have easily been in that finals, without any objection or anything.
Yeah.
Very recently, the playoff round before this was fairly close, and both these teams have acquitted themselves well, making it to the World Championships and then making it all the way to a podium finish in the World Championships. Just an awesome display from these teams, and like you were saying, we will see Bosock Sky. I started making a list on the internet. That's dangerous, and a number of other of these battlers in Japan for the Play Pokemon Worlds this week. We're all pretty excited about that as well. Hopefully we get, it's going to be aired from Japan. The timing on that may be a little awkward for people in NA to try to watch, but we'll make it work. And hopefully you all can out there as well.
Set your alarms, everybody.
1 a.m. watch parties.
Just get your coffee, you'll be good.
Yeah, we're all in it together. But I'm very excited. I mean, these matches are obviously in specialized metas, which is what Sylph did best. But it just goes to show like how well these players know their Pokemon and know that dance of energy, shields, and health. I mean, we saw it across all the different leagues in these matches here. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of that great gameplay like at the World's Championships in Japan.
Yep.
Absolutely. One of the things I've never actually used a Shadow Girafarig in battle before, so I had no idea that Face Tail also had red eyes. So I was like, oh, look at that. Good. Like
the day I learned.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, well, that's neat. This is cool. So that's what I've got.
For Rigoraph when.
Someday soon.
I mean, we had the last Pokemon that came out had all of Gen 9, so we could only hope that right after GoFest, which in the promo had Gen 9 starters, that they start helping us and giving that Gen 9, because that's just a delicious, super fun battling mode. But Again, congratulations to Elite TMs for taking first, and thank you, Sylph, for providing this. But great job here by these battlers, which you can see all of this again. We'll be posting up the VODs on this matchup, but they did such a great job at, again, with everybody that's saying it here. These teams are community teams, and you can see that they've been around and they understand the game and they build their community strong. As you have all in the chat been chatting with us from these communities, and we appreciate you for being here, for doing that. So a big nod and a thank you to both NEB and to Chicago Stars for being the huge leaders in your community and helping the Go community thrive in the battling scene in your cities. So keep up the good work. We are so excited to have you guys come on to the shows when we see you for the Indigo, for Zygarden. Can't wait to see you guys there and what your future plans are for your Discords. I do have to say, taking a moment, as we had talked about, there was a loss in the community for Chicago Stars, so we wish everybody, family, friends, rivals of Burnabus, a very hearty condolences. Wishing you the best, and good luck out there. And hopefully you can. It's a tough loss when you lose somebody like that, and the community really came together, and that was really nice to see. So this is a great nod to him and a good way to go out here, as Empoleon was just so beautifully shown. And I appreciate both teams for having that respect and that love for the game and for the battlers on each other's team. So thank you again for that. And just remember, folks, today is a present, so make sure to accept it. Or I love it and appreciate it. But I have one more announcement before we go,
guys,
and that is
Bo
not
Sox
him.
guys.
Nope. That is Indigo PvP is coming back next week as well on Tuesdays, 8 o'clock, 5 p.m. PST. Be on the lookout for most of the Tuesdays of the month. We're going to have Palatown PvT versus BTW's third team, No Mercy. This is a rematch matchup. I was told by BTW, I was reached out by Matthew Breaker. He's like, hey, we want to challenge Palatown again, but I want to do it with the Trey team. I was like, I'll ask Fish if he can. And while he's getting ready to go off to Japan, Fish accepted. And next week, we will have this wonderful matchup of these two teams. So be on the ready for that and put that in your schedules for Tuesday, August 8th, 5 p.m. PST, as we'll have amazing casters join us for that.
Is that how it works? People just throw you their invitations like, hey, I want to fight these people.
No, if I actually, following that, I have other team captains who have come up to me and said, hey, we'd like to participate in Indigo PvP. So I have another team at the end of the month, another matchup going at the end of the month for that I'm just waiting for teams. If you were looking out to come to Indigo PvP and want to play the draft game that we all enjoy here, you're more than welcome to. You can find me on Twitter or Discord, and I'll be happy to put you in and get teams in there. But before we do anything else, this is what we're gonna say, folks. I'm sorry. It's now time.
No.
It's now time.
No.
We've got to say thank you.
Get out your Kleenex boxes, chat.
No.
All
I don't accept. I don't accept this.
It's been five
Stubborn.
wonderful years. We'll start with you, Kaz. We'll start with you, Miss Kaz. We'll go with you. And then...
Because I'm the most stubborn.
Sure. It'll get it done. The sooner you get it done, rip it off like a Band-Aid.
I didn't participate in the very first Sylph tournament, the Boulder Cup. I sort of learned about it. I was like, I guess they are going to find a way to do competitive Pokemon battling in Go. GBL wasn't a thing yet. They had only introduced battling into the game. It didn't work quite right. And so I heard about this and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should check it out. And at the time I had just moved away from the original community where I started, but I actually went back to Savannah, Georgia, which is where I started playing. And they had an in-person tournament. And I was like, let me just go and check this out and see how it goes. And I came in second and I was like, this is going to be fun. and that was the Twilight Cup. And I have been playing almost every meta ever since. I might've missed a month here or there because of personal reasons, but Sylph has been an absolute mainstay of my life, and all the people that it has brought into my life, it has made, everything that much better and more fun. And it's been an incredible time. I'm so sad to see it go, but the relationships and the people that I met through it, I'll have those forever, and that's invaluable. So thank you, Sylph.
Beautiful.
I guess that makes it my turn. I also have a long history with Sylph. I mean, I like playing Pokemon games because I like battling with Pokemon. I don't know if there's any other people out there that's how they feel about Pokemon. And picked up Pokemon Go, played it a little bit, took some breaks with it, and then PvP came out, and I was like, oh, we're in now. We're in. We're playing some Pokemon battles. And Sylph Season 1, my local community up in Stockton, California, was hosting a Boulder Cup. I didn't have a Metacham, and so I just I make spreadsheets. Anyway, so I made this spreadsheet, and I was analyzing all the matchups. I was like, I don't have a Metacham. That feels really good. You know what beats Metacham? Skarmory. I am one of those people that brought 2 Skarmories to the first Boulder Cup. I went 4-0 running Marsh Stomp Skarmory every game.
Boo!
Rude.
Had some close calls in there, but did win those, and played through all of Season 1. Participated in regionals, in a first place tie for regionals, and ended up not going to continentals. Season 2 up until they COVID hit and we lost in-person tournaments. And that was a pretty big hit for me in terms of what I liked about battling. And then Sylph was like, well, we can one up that. Let's bring out factions. And factions has carried PvP and my enjoyment of the game and helped me build a community over the last couple years, and really enjoyed captaining the dojo squad. I won't shout out all the people because that's a list on the internet, but I appreciate you all, and I appreciate Sylph for giving us this opportunity to build communities, to build relationships, and the real Sylph Arena is the friends we made along the way.
Yeah. Hashtag thank you, Sylph.
Yes, like 100%. Me, I really, ironically enough, I love Pokemon games. I love battling in Pokemon games, but in Pokemon Go, I was just like, meh, because I really wasn't like interested in it until I saw that you could get new poses in GBL, and then I was like, oh, buddy, let's do this. So I committed like lots of people are collectors, lots of people are like, oh, raiders. I was like, I'm a battler. That is it. I don't care about costumes, right? Like, keep all your Pikachu hats. And I kind of hit a lull in GBL because I was like, I'm hitting my like ceiling. I'm not like progressing anymore. Like, what else can I do? And that's when I really like I would hear about like the Sylph metas every month, and I was like, whatever, Sylph, what is this? So finally, I decided, I peer pressured myself into like checking it out. Fell in love with it. I was like, yo, this is so cool. And I kind of got into like the rhythm, and then I was able to join a faction, which was pretty cool. Like just kind of like I mentioned earlier, that camaraderie that I got to build with like my friends in the Discord, and like helping me become a better battler. And when we decided to create our own faction, that's when they announced that they are closing down. So we're like, oh, did we cause them to close down?
It's your fault.
Was it us?
You did this to us.
So sorry.
So awful.
So, but I can tell you, like the short amount of time that I was able to battle, I absolutely enjoyed it. It was so cool, just like building and like Frankensteining teams together to try and figure out like what is going to be the best for my play style, what is going to be the like, and like helping other people out. Like let's scrim some teams and just trying to figuring out like how we can be the best battlers we can be with our Pokemon. So thank you, Sylph, for allowing me that opportunity to build friendships and join those communities. So
yeah, thank you, Sylph. That'll end with me then, as I will say thank you to Sylph for literally everything. I'm like 6'4". I'm a battler. I was so over Go when you couldn't really battle in a gym. I was like, this is not what I wanted to do. Like, come on. Like, then I got back into it and they reintroduced battling, and I looked so hard and I found Sylph meta right off the bat. It was Boulder Cup. I got into it immediately. I did 2 tournaments. Now, I was actually really blessed, and the LA scene is something that was really special because literally every other weekend there was another tournament to go to or another tournament to play in. So I got to like get 2 Boulder Cups in. I got to play in like 2 different Twilight Cups and stuff like that. It was just so much fun, and the friendships we made along the way to like be what it was before the pandemic was so amazing because you had friends that you saw in one tournament city, and then you're like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna drive over across town and I've never been there before. I'll just go battle against them. And then you see your opponents from the other tournament, and then you're like, wait a minute, And then you find out like there's like this whole circuit, and so Sylph really did a great job in my community bringing us together and helping us find small tournaments, and for all of us who like to battle. And then when the pandemic hit, they didn't give up on us. They were kicking it off with mega battle tournaments. They had 3 lined up. They were going around the world. They were so ready to really get into the broadcast of the next stage for the esport for us. And then the pandemic hit, and a lot of chaos happened. And not saying GBL and the pandemic are the same thing, but the GBL hit then, and really big hits happened to Sylph. And they did this thing where they didn't give up on us. And they said, no, we're going to switch to remotes now. We'll have you be remotes. And then they said, no, we know our teaming system isn't going to be the same as it was last year, but this is what it is now, the point system. And then they brought in factions, and they never gave up on us. And they always provided us something to battle with and something to look forward to every month. And so just thank you to that. And I hope that anybody out there who was able to build on a community can recognize that and give Sylph the thanks, because it's really hard to put tournaments together and to get people together, as we've all noticed over the year of being back in person. Like, it's not that easy. Yeah, it's great to play Pokemon with like 60, 80 people, but if you go to your local, there's only like 3 or 4, maybe. So Sylph did a great job over the years to where when you went to your local after year 1, year 2, there was 10 to 12, and the tournament just kept growing and growing. And so that's the aspect I love about it. It's really sad that we've lost this meta machine, but the community did not go away. There's Project Zygarden, which is happening, which is amazing. And I know that other different Discords have metas that they host. BTW does it. RTC, I know you guys have metas that you guys post up on your tournaments. Girls at PvP come out with your guys' your ladies' tournaments. 6'4 Ninja, I'm sure you're in a group on Discord that has special tournaments going somewhere, whether it's a draft tournament or something like that. NEB's got mega tournaments. There's just so much out there now. And it wouldn't be where it was if it wasn't for Sylph, and we wouldn't understand how to do it if it wasn't for Sylph. So a big thank you, #thank you Sylph, put out there on the stream. Make sure you say thank you. It's over now. We're 2 days late. Love you all. Thank you, Sylph.
Love you.
So, mushy stuff out. That was well said, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We'll kick it off with the goodbyes. Miss Kaz, why don't you kick us off and let everybody know where they can find you?
Well, I am finally on Twitter as @TheHurricaneCaz, so you can follow me there for all my GBL mishaps and attempts to get better at PvP, as well as I do the trainer portraits for the Stadium podcasts, which have been really fun. Those come out every Friday, so check me out there.
I'm the 6'4 Ninja. You can find me Monday through Friday at noon Pacific on Twitch, twitch.tv/the64ninja. I'm also on Threads and Blue Sky as the 6'4 Ninja, so pretty easy to find on those social medias. Appreciate the opportunity to come out tonight and join the Poke Battle Network for this cast, and hope you all have a great afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are, and on to you.
Absolutely. And I am Shadow Prime 34. You can find me as I'm one of the hosts of the Roundtable Chatot. We are on Twitter at RT Chatot and roundtablechatot.com. Go check out our stuff. With some pretty great stuff. And we have a little something that's cooking. No spoilers just yet, but we got a little something cooking for you guys. So
I like that. I like cooking stuff. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you, all 3 of you. Amazing, wonderful job tonight. So grateful to share the stage with you for the Worlds. Thank you for joining us to give this amazing matchup between 2 incredible communities, the NEB and versus Chicago Stars. Congratulations to NEB battlers for all your amazing work. Kaiser, you put together a great team, and be sure to check them all out this weekend as the Worlds in Yokohama is kicking off. Watch all the Discords, find the Twitters, Speediest Chief, Pokemon. If you're looking for the list of all the finalists, Draco Vids has been an amazing resource for battlers now to keep up to date, not just on who's going, but the teams they brought, where they come from, where they're representing, and what tournament they won. So go check out Draco Vids, as they had done an amazing job following this season. I'm SosaFlow, and this is the Poke Battle Network. You can find us on YouTube. I haven't been doing Twitch. You'll find us more on YouTube streaming here, as we'll be doing the Indigo League and Indigo PvP through here throughout the time. And my streams will be through here as well with VODs, as well as anybody else who wants to have a play Pokemon run of their local to show off and show up and let us know that there are live Pokemon journeys happening now. So thank you all for watching here. You can find me on Twitter and Discord as well, Twitter and Instagram as SosaFlow1. But that is it. That is the show. We don't need to rate anybody. So we're going to say one final send-off. Thank you all for watching the Poke Battle Network. And like always, keep on battling. Have a good night.